officially live.
Yeah, and that's why I'm now no longer allowed in Starbucks. It's just one of those things, dude.
Yeah, well, after that, jeez.
Exactly, right? Why would they let me back in, you know?
Yep. Alright. Let's see what we got going on here. Slippery Pete already subbing pre-show for 7 months at Tier 1. Thank you so much, my friend.
Nice. Nice, that's awesome.
Lots of people hanging out already.
I'm trying to work out what Nebulant have posted, but it's some sort of is that like a mechanical squid or something?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. It looks cool anyway. I like that.
Okay, cool. I like it.
Luna Sama as well, subscribed at Tier 1 for 19 months, a 19-month streak. That's pretty damn impressive.
Very nice. Thank you, guys.
Gio here for 26 months as well with his sub. 1 month away from our 3rd baby. Wow.
Wow, yeah. That's interesting to think about. Very nice. Thank you, Gio.
A Slippery Pete posting a duck.
This is, I feel like these are getting more popular lately in the keyboard community.
They're really cool.
These, like, multi-tiered emoji.
Yeah, I like them. I like them. I like the long ones that they've got like 4 or 5 parts going across. I think they're cool.
Yeah. I don't have enough energy to ever want to type these out, so...
Yeah. So Enemy's Friend says, real quick 2 sentences on SA sale so I can go to bed. Okay, so it's on the news doc. I haven't even looked at it yet, so I haven't seen SA sale. I haven't even looked at it. So what you're going to get when we get there is going to be my hot take. That's the 2 sentences on it right now. So you want to watch for that. I haven't even looked at the thread yet.
Yeah, it's in the first third of our news doc, I think.
Yeah, but that's still 2 hours away.
Yeah, the news doc's pretty tanky today.
Pretty tanky?
Pretty tanky today. This is it's been a while since we've had this many topics. You're not getting any sleep tonight, Jay. Better make sure you pound all that coffee.
Man, yeah, well, I've got a pint of coffee here, and
you're gonna need
I've got a can of Kirk as well.
You're gonna need 2 pints, mate. I don't think you can get a...
Can we take an intermission halfway through? Can we start doing that? Is that a thing we can do on first couple of weeks in the month when we've got huge news stuff?
We might, yeah. I think we are seeing a trend that our first show of the month obviously is going to contain all the things that launched at the beginning of the month, and that's when most key sets launch.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I do think if we end up getting to like 3-hour shows, I might need to start to take an intermission like an hour and a half in.
That's a good idea. We should probably start. We should come up with a clever way to do it though. It should be more than just like a simple intermission. Like maybe there's like a game that people can play while they wait 5 minutes for us, or we have some kind of interaction so it's not just us doing nothing for 5 minutes and people just sitting there. You gotta keep people interested. Otherwise, everyone just leaves. If you just put out an intermission screen, bam, there goes half the audience. Like, within 30 seconds.
We'll think of that and we'll come up with something, because I do think we need to start doing those. Daft Profit as well, subscribed for 2 months. Says, bit late to the sub gang. Never too late to join our sub gang. Thank you very much for joining.
That's right.
Eski Mojo as well says, 3 of the streamers I usually watch are live right now and I've had to make a decision. I assume that means he's left, but...
Oof. Yeah, he's already gone.
He's just gone.
He's already gone to go watch better streamers. It's fine. We're used to this. The Key Company also subbed earlier at Tier 1. Thank you so much, man.
Oh, nice.
Isn't he on like vacation or something?
Yeah, I suspect this might be Rise on the company account. I suspect, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna guess at that.
That could be possible.
Yeah, and what else was I going to say as well? I did see another comment I was going to comment on. I can't find it now. Okay. But Jay Shuff has just given us 5 gift subs, 5 tier 1 gift subs. Thank you very much for that, dude. That's awesome.
That's very, very kind of you. Oh, it is Rise. You were right.
There you go. You see.
Very nice.
I mean, there was only one of 2 choices, right? It was either Rise or Mint Lertica, so...
That's true. Well, unless Jason was watching from wherever he is on vacation, which would be supreme dedication to be fair.
To be fair, he actually replied to a Discord message I'd sent him before I'd remembered that he was aware. I sent him a Discord message and then I said, "Oh, actually, dude, I forgot you're aware. Don't worry about it. I'll ask the guys." And he just came back and said, "Yes, sir," and that was it. That's all he said.
Nice, very concise. I love that.
Exactly. It was like, right, okay, yeah. Clearly, you're not interested in answering my question because you're on holiday, and I completely respect that. And I'll go book Rise and someone else.
PMSing Chicken donates 220 bits. Thank you so much. There's some bonus bits there too. There must be a 10% on Terminator bits. I don't know what the promotion is, but apparently those kind of bits give you an extra 10%.
Isn't the new Terminator film now actually just about now?
Oh, that could be why. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
I don't have TV. Like I don't have like cable or satellite or whatever. I haven't had that since like 2009, so I never watched like commercials. So I never really know what's coming out because I never actually watch TV of any sort.
Yeah, from what I remember, the original Sarah Connor is coming back to this movie as well. From what
Interesting.
I've seen.
Didn't they try to do like a Sarah Connor television series that failed like miserably?
I think it did alright. The Sarah Connor Chronicles. Yeah, I watched.
Okay.
I think there was only one season of that, but I think there was a whole season. So. But it was really good. I really enjoyed the TV show. It was good.
Oh, was it? Okay. I never watched it, so I wasn't sure. I assumed it wasn't going to be good because most TV is not very good.
It was one of those shows that the first episode you're like, oh my god, are they really doing this? And then halfway into it, you're like, this isn't one of those that's so bad that it's good, but some of the plot stories are so unrealistic that it's good. If that makes sense. It was like kind of like too extreme to be taken seriously, but it was good entertainment. I will put it that way.
Fair enough. If you guys are wondering what's going on, maybe you're a little new to this, we're just doing a little bit of a pre-show right now. We haven't officially started yet. We have to go live a little early just to make sure things are going smoothly and to allow people to come in here, both of which are currently happening, so that's good. We'll start officially in just a couple minutes, guys.
Just a couple of minutes.
Yes,
Is that,
yes.
I feel like you say that phrase a lot. It'll just be a couple of minutes.
No comment, Jay. No comment at all. Alright.
Oh dear. Sorry, that was really mean of me.
It's about... Hey man, if anyone can take a joke, it's me. I make fun of myself more than anyone else makes fun of me, so I'm pretty good about it. If you can't make fun of yourself, you're probably not living a very good life, to be totally honest.
Yeah, that's probably fair. That's probably fair.
All joking aside, though, back to the joke. It's more about quality in terms of this. It's not always about quantity, right?
Right. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. That's.
I'll take your word for that.
Yeah.
I'll take your word.
Take your wife's word.
I'm pretty sure my wife's all right with it. Yeah. Undercover brother asking you to go back to keyboard. It says, Brian, are you getting your Southpaw picked up?
Oh, I forgot that was a thing. Like, you can get them picked up at the NorCal meetup, right? I would have to find someone that's going to the NorCal meetup that I trust enough to pick up a board for me and ship it back to me. So I guess that could be an option. The meetup's Saturday, right? I don't know if it's too late or not.
I thought you were going to this one. I don't know why, but I had it in my head that you were going to go.
Originally, I was going to go, but because of complications, I could not. So
right. Sure.
You know, it is what it is. That's life. But, you know, I've made it out to several NorCal meetups, and I'm sure I'll make it out to several more. Just not this one, apparently.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yep. All right. So we have crossed our viewer count that I like to start the show at. So we're gonna go ahead and roll the intro and officially start the show, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of Top Clack, your weekly source for mechanical keyboard mumbo jumbo and other things. I am your host, Quakums, and I'm joined, as usual, by my lovely co-host, Jay, and we have a very, very long show in store for you today, despite Jay's feelings. So we're going to truly punish him today by going through, I think, 21 topics on our news doc, so...
I didn't even count. That depresses me even more. I didn't even count them.
Jay's going to be hashtag no sleep today, which is, you know, sometimes it's just what you got to do. It's just what you got to do. But anyways, aside from that dauntingly awful information, how are you doing today, Jay?
I'm good. It's 2 a.m. I have coffee. I have soft drinks. I should be fine in terms of the amount of hours we need to spend on the news doc today. So yeah, I'm doing good, and I'll be more than fine, I'm sure, with the show today.
Yeah. Maybe we can not ramble as much as we normally do, and then we can get through topics a little quicker.
I just hope you haven't put all of the GMK sets together and you've actually like dotted in some SA sets and things like that, because otherwise it just does get a little bit too much sometimes.
No comment.
He's put all of the GMK ones next to each other, I bet, guys.
The problem with... I had to do it, but the reason I had to do it is because there's always so many GMK sets that are in interest check and group buy simultaneously. When we have 15 to 20 of them every single month, there's not really much choice. There's no getting around it.
There's more than 20 of them a month. There's more than 20 of them.
Oh yeah, I was trying to be a little conservative there, but I think we have like 13 or 14 key set topics today, which is a little ridiculous. Anyways, okay. Shout out to Royal, who is continuing a gift sub that they got from J Chef. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
And let's try to get off to a quick start here so we can get right into this news doc. So let's start out with a mail call as per usual. Mine is easy again because once again I have nothing, sadly. But Jay might have something for us.
I have a few bits. First of all, I got some clear stabilizers. I won't mention the brand. Everglide. Just in case there's any ramifications. I got some pink stabilizers. Again, Everglide. I got some smoky stabilizers, which I'm intrigued to try. And then I got about 6 different. I wasn't sure what I was ordering on Tau because you never quite are. I wasn't sure if the actual the housings came with the bars or not, and they did. So I ended up with like 6 packets of bars because I ordered extra ones as well. So I've got loads of golden stabilized wires. So I've got all of those, so I'm interested to try those out. It'll be a couple of weeks before I get a chance to try them in any of my builds because I've got a customer build this week, which we'll talk about later on. And the other big thing I got this week is GMK Metropolis.
Oh, you haven't even opened it.
I have opened it, yes.
Oh, you have?
It's empty this because it's on a board now. It's actually on the J01. If I can lift it up and show it. Here we go. So there you go, guys. This is GMK Metropolis on the J01.
Not bad. It's
a really nice looking set.
You opened Metropolis, but you still haven't opened DMG.
Yeah, DMG is still sealed. I haven't opened it yet. Yeah, so maybe it's weirdo. One thing I did want to call out on the set as well is Neflox N. How cool is that cap? I just really like that cap.
That's a nice cap. Yeah, very simple, attractive, elegant logo.
Yeah, I really like that. Really cool. But yeah, that was it. That was all I got this week. Not too much. Just a couple of bits and pieces.
Bam. Very easy, very quick mail call. So we have a couple announcements to go through before we head over to the news doc. Jay, why don't you take it away for us?
Yeah, I'm going to do these in the reverse order they're on the news doc, just to confuse you, Brian. So the first thing I want to talk about is Top Clack's Secret Santa. We are going to run a Secret Santa this year, guys. We're actually going to run 2 of them. The first one we're going to run is for the US. So if you live in the continental US, one of the states, Trump is your president, then you've got 1 form to fill out. If you're anywhere else in the world, because we know that Top Clack's now garnering more of a worldwide audience, there is going to be a rest of the world one as well. So there's going to be 2 to submit to. If you're in the US, you fill out the US one. If you want to be in the rest of the world, you fill out the rest of the world one. If you're in the US and you want to do the rest of the world one as well, you can do, but bear in mind that you will have to join both to be able to do that. I'll post the links into chat shortly, or Brian might do that while I'm talking actually, and we'll make it clear which one's which so you can join it.
I'll do it.
Cool. Just a couple of things on this, guys. It's run through a service called Elfster, which takes away all the hassle from Brian and I. It means we can just let it do it automatically. You've got a couple of weeks to enter. So all of the dates when you sign up and everything else are on there. And when you try and join it, everything's there. So you've got a couple of weeks to enter now. So there's 2 weeks from today to enter for both the competitions, so for both of the Secret Santas. After the 2 weeks, it will automatically draw you against someone else, and you'll be given someone else's profile. You're buying the gift for them, and you're going to ship it directly to them as well. We do want everyone to ship the gifts out by the 19th of December. So that's before Christmas, so everyone's got it there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a present gift opening party on the show on the 26th of December. So on the 26th of December, we want you guys to come into chat. We want you guys to have all of your gifts there ready. We'll be on stream. Brian and I will open the gifts that we've received because we're going to both join this as well. We'll kind of like do a bit of a gift opening party, and you guys can post pictures, and you can send us links in Discord and all that kind of stuff, and we'll show some of the best ones up on stream, and we'll just have a really, really good time with it. In terms of signing up, there's just a couple of things to notice as well. You will have to put your real first name and last name in. That's just so that the mail can actually be shipped to you directly to you, because a lot of, especially the rest of the world, one needs a real name to be able to get to you. The last thing you want it to do is go to the to the post office and try and pick up a parcel for Quakums. I can imagine Brian going down there with his driver's license saying, "Look, I really am Quakums," and showing them the stream on YouTube on his phone and all of that kind of stuff. You know?
They wouldn't even they won't even let me ship out international packages without a full name.
Exactly. So please do put your full real name on there in the real name columns. The other thing that you can do as well is you can actually add an elf or Elfster username. If you put your Discord username in that one, then at least people will be able to track it back to you as well, so we know who is who, and you'll know who you've got as your gift receiver. You won't know who your Santa is. The whole point is that it's anonymous. No one will know who their Santa is, so just bear that in mind. Then the only other thing to remember as well, guys, is that we're not going to set a maximum. You can spend whatever you like, but we do think that $15 minimum is about right, so that everyone knows where that baseline is. So if everyone spends $15 on the gift, and then you cover shipping yourself out of your own pocket, and then at least everyone's going to be broadly in the same ballpark as well. And we know just where that minimum is. There's no maximum. You can spend as much or as you like, as long as it's above that $15 mark. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
It's 15.
Yeah, $15.
We changed it, Joe, after I got you to test it. Yeah,
$15 we feel like is a pretty good starting point. It's not a terrible amount of money. If you cannot afford anything, do not join it. Don't join the Secret Santa if you cannot afford, a $15+ gift. Just don't do it. You don't have to join it. It's fine. But if you do, definitely awesome. And just like we linked and Jay mentioned before, there's two versions, the US version and the rest of world version. Make sure you're joining the appropriate one. It's going to be a pretty good time. It's officially open now. I will post the links again in the Discord announcements channel after the show today. It'll also be on the VOD news description as well as the AOD news description. So you'll be able to find it in multiple places after this. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, and just a final point for the rest of the world one, guys, as well. When you are shipping your parcel, obviously you're shipping it at, your expense. But when you do ship it, please don't put a value on there. Put it down as $1 or something like that. It is a gift after all. We're not businesses here. We're not trying to get people into trouble. The last thing I want to do is for someone to get a gift in the EU or Sweden or somewhere like that and end up paying 20, 30, 60% tax because for a gift that they've got. So please do bear that in mind. Just mark it as $1 and send it that way as well. Making sure you mark it as a gift. 10 strong. Even if you mark it as a gift, but you put the value on as, say you were being really generous and you bought someone a GMK set, it cost you $150, and you were being really generous and sending that to them, which I'm not suggesting you do, but if you want to do, I'll give you my address later. If you mark that as gift, but it was still $150, I'd still have to pay tax on that. So just mark it as $1, whatever you're sending. So there we go. And the final thing as well is when you're setting up your profile on there, once you've entered either the US or the rest of the world one, you can also go in and edit your wish list. So if there's anything specific that you'd like, so if you were looking for a certain type of switch that you want to try, you can put onto a wish list to kind of give people ideas. Don't be disappointed if you don't get something on your wish list. It is just a wish list, so but it might help your Santa to make a decision. So as well, you can do that if you'd like to. And the final thing is keep it keyboard related is the only other thing I'd say.
Yeah. And also, just a quick disclaimer, obviously, Top Clack, Jay and myself, and all of Top Clack is not responsible if you receive a gift you don't like, you don't receive a gift maybe, or, it's, etc. This is strictly, between all the users and stuff, so just keep that in mind, guys. Sometimes Secret Santas go wrong, sometimes people join and then don't send something out. It's a bummer, but there's not really a whole lot we can do about it. So
we're trusting you guys to be open, to be honest, to do the right thing, to be good to each other. It's a great time to be good to other people.
Yeah.
So make the most of it. And as I say, as Brian says, all we're doing is facilitating this. So if you've got any questions or you want to ask anything before you join, please reach out to either myself or Brian. I'll answer questions all day tomorrow. It might not be straight after the show, but tomorrow when I wake up, I'll answer any questions if anyone's got any. So just reach out and DM me. Yeah. I hope you guys have fun. I'm really looking forward to that stream on the 26th of December, where everyone will have the gifts, and Brian and I can open up our gifts, in real time on the stream, and we can show you what we've got and all of that kind of stuff. So whoever gets us, please don't send us something that's not stream friendly. But and then we can get you guys in chat to show what you got. It's just going to be such a good fun time, real good Christmas feel good episode.
Yeah. It's supposed to be wholesome, guys. If you don't plan on sending a gift, don't join. If you can't afford it, don't join. Otherwise, just have fun. It's about giving. It's about receiving. It's about just having a good time, being wholesome, and being thankful. Yeah, it's the holiday season. Let's get into it. Cool.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay. And I do have another mini announcement. It's not really an announcement. It's more of a teaser. But we do have some new type of content coming soon. I'm not going to tell you anything about it yet because we're still working out the details. It is going to involve guests. It's not behind the keyboard. It's something a little bit different that Brian and I are both really, really excited about. And we should have more news for you in the next couple of weeks. So watch this space. I'm hoping to get this content out before Christmas for the first one, just to see what you guys like. Watch this space, but we should have more content.
I guarantee you guys are going to like it. I guarantee it.
I spent a good 20 minutes telling Brian about it before the stream. He seems pretty excited.
It's going to be a hit. I know that for a fact. Just based on how this community feels about things, it's going to be good.
Cool. So watch this space for new content before Christmas, guys. The only other thing I'd say is, which might give you a hint or not, is get your headphones ready for it. And without much further ado, is there any other announcements before we move into the news doc, Brian?
I have none. So I think we should attack this news doc as if we're David and it's Goliath, because it really is Goliath today.
Do I need to go get my slingshot?
You're probably going to need more of like a trebuchet. Shout out to trebuchet subreddits.
Right. Okay. So it's not a catapult then. You're team trebuchet. Okay, got you.
Yep. Team trebuchet. All right.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, what's up first anyway, Brian? What we talking about first?
All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is the interest check for the SKB2. So this is by I'm going to totally butcher this name, and I apologize. This is by user Plastic Schnitzel. It's probably something pretty close to that. And this is a steel case decoupled plate powder coated keyboard. So you guys might remember the first run of the SKB that was maybe a year ago, maybe a little bit more so at this point. I think it shipped only a few months ago. So it's still kind of enjoying a little bit of popularity here as people actually receive it. But this is the new version. So there's a couple different things going on here versus the original one. First off, this is steel. This is not aluminum like the first one. This is full steel frame and a steel plate. So that's pretty interesting. Also, the mounting style on this one's going to be a little bit different too. The original one was top mount. This one is still top mount. However, it uses a what they're calling a dampened / decoupled plate. However, they don't really have any kind of explanation on that, unfortunately. They don't really have any pictures aside from this one where we can see the bare plate here. We'll talk about that in just a second, though. A couple more specs just before we get to that. It is going to be powder-coated steel. It is going to feature an adjustable angle, just like the first one, which I think is pretty cool. So you can use this one at 6 degrees, 8 degrees, 10 degrees, or 12 degrees if you're kind of a madman. The steel plate is going to have some relief cuts, which is pretty awesome, and the completed build weight is going to be about 1.5 kilograms for the 60% version, which is a little over 3 pounds. That's actually pretty darn good. It's going to be made in several sizes, just like the original one, so it's going to be really depending on interest is this one, though. So if not a lot of people want a 75% version, for example, there's not going to be a 75% version. We can pretty much safely assume that 60% are going to be made, though, and he's probably going to have them in different layouts as well, including HHKB and win keyless, aside with your standard layout as well. This is going to be made in Germany, just like the original one, although it's going to be a different manufacturer than he used last time, which makes sense because he did struggle a little bit with the manufacturing before, at least with the delays. It was a very long group buy. So, how do you feel about this one, Jay?
So I actually have one of the original SKBs. I haven't built it yet. It's still in the pile of stuff to do. But the board's really interesting. Like the finish on the original one was quite rough, but it was quite industrial, and I quite like the look of it. The fact that this is going to have more options, especially in terms of colours and stuff like that as well. It's not going to be just the standard black. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think the powder coating is a great idea for this type of board. It fits that industrial feel. So yeah, I'm probably going to pick one of these up. They're relatively cheap, they're relatively simple, but they look great and they kind of feel great as well. So yeah, I'm really interested to pick one of these up and to try it out. I think the 12-degree angle will be too much for me. That's a little bit on the steeper side for me. I much prefer a lot shallower. 8 degrees is probably more or less where I am. In terms of the plate and the mounting style, I think what's changing here is a couple of things. So the old one was just literally top mount. You just literally bolted it to the case, and that was it. You literally had bolts that came down from the top, and you put the nut on the bottom. What's changing here is that nut still remains, the nut and bolt still remains in place, but the actual plate itself has rubber grommets that are kind of attached into it. So it's almost going to feel like burger mount, but at the same time the plate's also got relief cuts around those rubber grommets, so they're actually going to have some flexibility depending on the plate material type there as well. So it's really interesting that they're tweaking what we call burger mount in the community before. They're coming up with a slightly different take on it, and I'm interested to see how that feels as well.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're kind of in the era right now of isolation mount and things similar to that. So we've kind of moved away a little bit more from top mount, which is kind of nice. Gives us a little bit of a breath of fresh air. So as you can see in this picture, it's a little hard to tell because of the color of the plate, the shade here.
The next picture's better. The next picture's better. You can actually see it a little bit closer.
A little bit, yeah. So you can see these tabs right here, which are on the plate. So, like Jay was mentioning, they have the relief cuts right here, so you get a little bit more of a bouncy experience. I think this is pretty interesting. I'm excited to see how this goes. I didn't join the first one, but I definitely wanted to. I think it's a pretty interesting looking design, if nothing else. And what's really cool about this, which you hinted at before, is the price. So in the previous run of the SKB keyboards, the most expensive option at the worst MOQ was 168 euros. Which is close-ish, at least at the time, was about 1-to-1 to the dollar. So, it was around $170, very, very inexpensive. And the cheaper ones, if they actually hit the final MOQs, were as low as about 110, 115 euros. So, very, very cheap. They didn't come with PCBs, obviously, but they do fit standard 60% PCBs, for example. Or at least this version does. So that's pretty cheap, right? I mean, you can get a pretty decent looking keyboard. It looks nice. It's high profile. It has kind of that industrial side and top design here with the screws and the mounts and stuff. I think it looks pretty good. I like the way it kind of gives out that industrial appeal, and it's also high profile, which is nice. And to get like a nice high profile case at that price, I think is quite wonderful. And I hope that this version isn't much more expensive than the previous one.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit different in price, but I don't think it'll be massively different. I think it's still aiming to be quite, budget friendly in terms of that sort of price range. One of the things you're right about though is the way it's high profile. It's actually quite deep. Is this so? The keys actually sit 8mm into the board, where it's usually mostly 7mm on a lot of boards. So these actually sit a little bit deeper. So the sides of the case come up a little bit higher around the keycaps. So there should be no chance of being able to see past the keycaps and see under to see any switches or anything like that. So it should be quite neat and tidy from that perspective as well. So from both an aesthetics point of view and from a functionality point of view, it should be really interesting to try this out, and especially to compare it to the original SKB as well, which is very much more industrial as well. So yeah, I'm really interested to try it out. Saturn OG is just asking about how we feel as steel as a case material. So I was going to get onto that. So one of the interesting things about steel is the amount of ping that it holds. So it's very resonant as as a metal is steel, so you hear a lot of ping and a lot of movement, and you can transfer sound very easily into steel. And I think that's part of the reason why Plastic Schnitzel has gone on to put this kind of revised burger mount type in there as well. I did paste a link, Brian, where it's into chat, where it shows the mounting style off a little bit better, if you want to bring that up as well so people can see. It just shows it off. There's a couple more pictures there that just show it off quite clearly how it works.
Nice. Yeah. So one of the main reason they're able to keep costs so low here is the machine time. Obviously, a lot of the mid to higher tier keyboards in our community are done via CNC machines, which are not cheap to run. And here, this is effectively, mostly at least, just bent steel, and obviously that's quite a bit cheaper to accomplish. So you get a lot of that savings because of that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, bent steel cases. We've seen some bent steel cases, bent aluminium cases before from places like KP Republic, but they've never been as high quality as this. And as I still haven't built my original SKP, I can see it right now. I do need to get on with that and build it at some point on stream. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to try this out. The other thing as well that he has mentioned is he's going to try and look at rivets from the top that sit flush rather than have that raised profile. So they'll still be visible, they'll still be black and visible, but rather than be raised where you might catch your fingers or your wrists or something on them, they are going to be flush with the front lip of the board and the top lip of the board as well. So that might be quite interesting to see how that feels if they're flush.
Yeah, definitely. Some of these pictures are really nice too. I love this with the it's kind of like the classic beige look going on here. I think that's just wonderful. And the side profile where he's got the row 5.
Yeah,
I think that's row 5. I don't know, but
it is,
that just looks nice. I love the way this is shaping up. So, yeah, we'll definitely keep our eyes out on this. I imagine it probably will start soon. I think he's pretty much wrapped up his previous group buy that he had a bunch of issues with. So, hopefully this one will go a little bit nicer, a little bit smoother with the new manufacturer.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely looking forward to that. Okay, and speaking of new group buy runners, we've also got the second topic of today, which is up with Phoenix Star. So Phoenix Star, you might recognise his name from around Discords and other places, but this is his interest check for the Hailey board, which is a stainless steel, second steel board.
I think. I could be wrong, but I think I've been corrected on Phoenix Star before.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm just assuming, and that's really bad of me, actually.
Yeah.
But the Hailey, a stainless steel 75%. So, interestingly, this is a 75% board, which has a rotary encoder, very similar to Satisfaction 75 in that top right-hand corner. No LCD on this one. It has aluminium parts and stainless steel parts, which we'll get onto in a second, and uses a USB-C type daughter board as well, like a lot of boards do now too. In terms of the actual board itself, I think there's quite a lot of bits and pieces to talk about here. So just to start off with the aluminium top, so the top part of the case is aluminium. That will be blasted and anodized or have electrophoretic coating. So there's going to be different options there, and we'll talk about colors in just a minute as well, because a few different colors. The base of the case is going to be stainless steel, which is going to be PVD or mirror coated. So this is very similar to the Kepler in terms of how that's been finished on the bottom, which we've all seen before as well. There's going to be a carbon fiber plate, which I'm a big fan of. Carbon fiber plates are very, very interesting, and I'm a big proponent of carbon fiber plates. I'm glad to see that there's more manufacturers and more group buy runners starting to pick these up as well. But if you don't want to use carbon fiber, there will be brass plate options too. There'll be an Alps EC11 rotary encoder with a click switch. This will be a rotary encoder that can turn left or right, and you'll also be able to press it and use it as a switch as well. You'll be able to, as a button effectively to do different things. So that's going to be there as well. And the knobs are going to have knurled sides as well. So there's going to be some interesting custom knobs as well. The PCB is going to be custom. It's going to be called the May, and that's going to be ARM related. So it's likely going to be using QMK. I don't think I saw that confirmed anywhere in the thread, but using the ARM chip, there's no reason why it couldn't be QMK compatible either. And it's going to use a USB-C daughter board as well. So the extra parts will be available as well, so you'll be able to get those. The silicone rubber feet are quite interesting as well. We'll come on to those when we start to look at some pictures of the board as well, so don't let me forget about that. And the typing angle is 5.5 degrees, so quite low, but I think in terms of the actual style of this board, it fits it quite well. Just moving on to color options, there's a couple of different color options you can have. Either aluminium anodized, which is a RAL grey code. Brian's frantically trying to get back to that.
I thought it was below the renders, but I guess it was above it.
Yeah, it's above it. Or you can have rose gold anodization on the upper as well. If you want to have an eco on that aluminium top piece, you can have jet black or tabula rasa, which is basically a bright white. In terms of the lower half, as we said before, you can have either PVD finish, which is rose gold, or you can have a mirror polish finish, which is called Kagami, which is basically just going to be the metal as it is, but polished to a high sheen.
Refresh the page. The colors have been updated. Okay, I'm refreshing the page. Apparently they're updated.
Oh, let me refresh.
This is always the problem with the news doc. This is always the problem.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It looks like they took out
the rose gold base. Yeah, okay. So it's only going to be the mirror polish, which is not a bad decision in my view. I think the mirror polish is probably the more attractive of the two anyway. But before we get on to my personal thoughts, the next thing I just wanted to talk through is the sales section, and I can just say this interest rate's laid out really, really nicely as well.
It's a great interest rate.
Yeah, it's just really, really, really nice. Price, it's going to be high, maybe $700 plus.
It will
and that's
be $700 plus.
Yeah, I can't see it.
There's no way it's going to be cheaper.
No, and the main reason for that is stainless steel. It's expensive to buy, it's expensive to machine, it's difficult to machine. It's a lot harder than aluminium to machine, so it's gonna it's gonna be up there. But she does say that she's going to try and reduce the cost as much as they can. But yeah, we'll have to see how that portrays itself when it actually comes to group buy. And I think a lot of that will be driven by quantity. So she does say she's still oscillating on this topic. She's expecting it to be 50 units, but might go further. So 100 units, there's quite some significant price drops. I know of myself from manufacturing my own boards that they do get significant price drops at certain MOQs, and we'll just have to see how that comes out. And in terms of lead time, it looks like the group buy is going to run in the next couple of months. So interesting to see that. Brian, do you want to talk us through your thoughts on the board or anything that I've missed?
Yes. This is it. This is the keyboard I want, Jay.
Really? Okay.
You know what got me? These two butt pictures here. This is the sexiest butt of any keyboard ever.
Wow, that's a nice hot take. That's a nice hot take.
There's my hot take. This is the most attractive keyboard bottom of all time, in my opinion. This, because of the bottom alone, this is a must-buy for me. But overall, I do think the keyboard is going to be highly successful. I think this is an absolute triumph of keyboarding. I know I'm rambling about this. I really do like it that much, Jay.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you like it because I like it too. In terms of the actual board itself as well, so I will say it is very Kepler-esque. I think she's acknowledged that in the design and in the Discord and everything else. That top thick bezel around all the top does look very similar to it. The base is kind of the similar sort of thing as well. I think that being said, I think it does stand on its own as a very unique piece. I think from the top perspective, when you're looking top down on the board, the layout is quite possibly one of the nicer 75%. So now when we looked at the Dawn and we looked at the Wraith before, we've talked about how that top F row looks really, really good when it's kind of staggered in that way and kind of broken up in that way. And it's not one for one with the keys like on the Singer that you see, where it's aligned to the row below. So I really, really like the layout of that. I also am a massive fan of having exploded arrow keys and right-hand column so that it moves it away slightly from the arrow cluster. I did that on my personal board, the JR1. I like it on the CA66 as well. I like it here too. I think that's a really, really good implementation of it. And putting the knob up in that top right-hand corner is just pretty much perfect for anyone, who likes to use rotary encoders in their build. So I do think that looks good. This
symmetrical F row that's perfectly aligned with the 60% cluster. Oh,
it's
man.
good, right?
This really has me going.
In terms of the actual layouts available, so I'll just talk about this very briefly. So there's a couple different options you can have on the bottom row. You can have either the 7U bottom row Sangan style layout without blockers that's been shown on a couple of the renders we've looked at. You can also have it slightly differently. Have the 3 1.25U keys, then a 6.25U spacebar key, then 2 1.5U keys. Or alternatively, there is a third bottom row option, which is quite interesting, which is 1.5, 1, 1.5, 6, 1.5, 1.5. So using that shorter spacebar as well. So depending on what you want, there's multiple different options for the bottom row. In terms of the rest of the compatibility, it looks like there's just a split backspace option and a a stepped caps lock option. But there's no ISO support, which is kind of frustrating for me because I really like this board and I really, really want to, to join this group because I think it's a very, very good looking board. I want to get onto the mount system in a few minutes as well and talk about that. But it doesn't look like it's even going to be supported on the PCB. I could completely understand it not being supported in the plates, but I would, say it's better to offer at least a couple more options for us international users on the PCB element, and then just maybe open source the plate files. That would be how I would like to see it done. In terms of the mount style as well, so this is a gasket mounted board. It's isolation mount, which we've seen in a few boards now, but this is done very much in the Keycap pour-on style, although instead of having 3 different tabs across the width of the board where the plate rests, this runs full length, top and bottom. There's no isolation on the sides, it's just not touching the case on the side, so it's still isolated from the case, but it's not like the Kepler or the JO1 or JO2 where it's completely encapsulated around the edge of the plate in a gasket or gasket materials. This is very much pour-on strips above and below the plate on the top of the board and on the bottom of the board. So the typing feel should be quite interesting. I suspect this is going to sound really good, especially with the carbon fiber plates. I'm a massive, massive fan of carbon fiber in boards. It reduces ping, but it gives you a good consistent feel across the board. And I think this is going to sound quite good, especially the fact that the inside of the base of the case has got milled out area that runs a full width of the board. For those that you recall, I actually changed the prototype on the JO1 to have my recess the full width of the 60% rather than just having it underneath the alpha cluster, because it massively improved the sound of the board across the whole thing, even though it sacrificed a little bit of weight. And this board you're not going to sacrifice anyway, because that stainless steel bottom is going to give it a huge amount of heft. As Brian said, I'm all over this. I just need that ISO PCB.
I can't really find anything I'd want to change about this board. I feel like I don't even like 75%. So I don't even know the person running this. I don't even really know who this person is. But this board, these renders really got me going. That bottom and the side profile in the bottom, this is just lovely. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah. The only thing we need to see now is a prototype, right?
Yeah,
that's what we have to see, because this board looks good. There's a couple of things that do jump out at me that may or may not cause issues. There's only, it's a 75% board, so it's quite wide, but there's only 4 screw points.
So was the Kepler.
Not in the middle. So as a Kepler, it worked on the Keplers. I've seen other boards where it's been done and you've ended up with bowing between the layers. It's kind of bowed away from each other and stuff like that because it's been too far between connection points. So that's something that, prototypes are there to prove that kind of thing and make sure that kind of thing works. I do like the fact that this has got the feet implemented on it, which the Kepler, it was just the whole base on the bottom of that. So I do like that. And what I really, really like is the accent on the side of this board where it just curves up just enough to show you a bit of that mirror polished base as well in the corners. That's a really nice accented touch. And I like the way that when they've done the render for that, they've actually had the light shining just on that point to really highlight it. Someone spent some time in Fusion or Keyshot or whatever it was used to do these renders to really, really make sure that looked good. Interesting to see. So there's a couple of bits and pieces on there, but I think as soon as we get a prototype, that will show what we need to know about that as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. I think this is a fantastic interest track. I think it looks fantastic. The board is absolutely brilliant, in my opinion, so far. But, obviously, we'll have to wait and see because anything could happen. All right.
Yeah. Prototype it soon. That's what I'd say.
For real. Let's get this going. What do I have to do here? Sign me up.
And add ISO. Yeah. What do I need to do to get ISO in it? Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Anyways, let's move on to our next topic, which is courtesy of Dr. Nunu. This is an interest check for the Navigant TKL. And this is a pretty interesting board. So we don't often see TKL layout boards with HHKB style blockers, but apparently this user would definitely like to see more. So this is pretty interesting. A couple specs we got for you real quick. There's not a ton of information, but we'll see what we can do. So the angle is going to be 3.5 degrees, which is pretty low. Definitely a lot lower than I'd like personally, but hey. It is going to use a QMK PCB with USB-C. The case is going to be made out of aluminum, probably anodized, and there will be a brass weight with a logo kind of system going on as well. So, very interesting. The estimated price is supposed to be somewhere between 350 and 400 euros, which is obviously not terribly cheap, but definitely not unreasonable as far as custom TKLs go. That's fairly standard range. So how do you feel about this one, Jay?
I'm just talking through a couple of other bits and pieces first of all. I think in terms of the board, the mount size, it's top mount. There's a really good screenshot showing from the bottom in. It actually looks very reminiscent of the way that the CA66 mounts, in the case that the base is just a flat plate that sits on there and the plate screws in. So one of the last plate mount pictures shows that. In terms of layouts, there's quite a lot of support on this one. So you can have split backspace, you can have ISO, you can have split or full right shift, you can have split or full left shift, you can have step caps, and there's 3 different bottom row options depending on whether you want to have a standard bottom row or whether you want to have a split bottom row or whatever you want to do. There's a couple of different options there. Sorry, excuse me. In terms of other stuff that's not been decided yet, it's how the badge is going to look and what the logo is going to look like. That's still to be confirmed because there's a couple of different variations in the renders where it's brightly coloured or it's kind of just milled into the board and things like that. Weight colours and colour options still have to be decided as well. In terms of the board itself, it reminds me a lot of the Fox.
The Meteor, right?
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of that.
Kind of like their orange TKL and kind of like the...
Yeah, the orange TKL is...
The Meteor is where this got me to, because the Meteor also had... It was a 75%, if I remember correctly, but it also had HHKB blockers, and I thought it looked so goofy. I hate HHKB blockers on anything beyond a 60%. Because
interesting.
Or more specific, let me rephrase that. I hate anything with HHKB blockers that also has an F-row. Because I feel like it's so gaudy to have a board so tall. Because this board is tall. Obviously, not only does it have an F-row because it's a TKL, but look at these bezels. The top and the bottom bezel are huge. Really, really, really huge. And I feel like because of that, it looks really, really awkward when you have all of this extra space with the corner blockers here. Definitely not for me.
Okay, so I think in terms of the edge bezels, I think they are a little bit too big, but I can see why they've tried to do it. One thing I am a massive fan of on boards is pen rails. You know, if you guys know me, I like my pen rails. That's kind of like a design feature and everything that I do. But what I would say about this particular board is that they run the pen rail on this runs really close to the top of the caps. I feel like that's probably too close to the caps. It shouldn't be on that line there. You might have issues with caps touching it or scraping if tolerances are done slightly differently. And I think it should sit just a little bit further up on that forehead, you know. And I do agree with Brian that I'm not a fan of the blocked corners. I could possibly understand the left-hand blocked corner like we saw on the CA66 with a badge, but have it go full length so you know, mars up to the TKL side. I just think it's on the right hand side for me where it does look a little bit strange, and that blocker doesn't quite fit with where the arrow keys sit and all that kind of stuff. It just looks a little bit mismatched there for me. In terms of the badge, you know, I don't mind people having a badge where we see that on the TKL boards all the time in that kind of position, so I'm comfortable with that. The base, the weight on the base, I actually kind of like the design on the weight. I'm not sure what you think to that, Brian, but I kind of like that.
I think it looks really cool. I'm curious to see how they'd accomplish this center portion, though. This kind of like double star thing going on that has 2 tones.
I imagine they'll do it something like the exclusive badges where you can have multiple turns and stuff like that. You know, I imagine they'll do it something similar.
Yeah, if they can pull that off, I think that'll look pretty good. But still, at a 3.5 degree angle, this is too close to flat for me as far as typing experiences go. I can't really enjoy it, especially on a board that's this monstrous. I don't know.
It's going to be heavy as well. It's going to be really heavy.
It clearly shares some inspiration with the CA66, and I can respect that. I think the CA66 is a very unique board, and it accomplished what it needed to do in a specific way. I think this is just going a little too overboard, though. There's too much empty space here that could be utilized, and I think look a little bit nicer.
It also reminds me of the Elephant S7 as well. When you look at that internal kind of shot for the plate mount, that really does remind me of the Elephant S7, the CA66, how those boards were put together and how they were designed, which is interesting. I think the looks of this one keeps me away from liking it. It looks just too soft and too rounded, and I don't know what the right word to describe it is, but it doesn't look. I don't know. It looks like it's squishy. Does that make sense? It looks squishy and soft. It looks like a chewy candy rather than. I don't know. I'm describing it badly here, but it does. There isn't enough to attract me to the board in terms of the corners and the feel of it. It just feels too soft and too rounded. Yeah.
I agree.
Plus points for the pen rail. I think if you move the pen rail up, you get rid of the HHQB blockers. It's probably going to look a little bit nicer, at least from my perspective. I do really like the weight design, and yeah, I'm interested to see how it develops. But as it stands right now, it's probably not for me.
Yeah, agreed. Quick shout to a few bits and subs that we did miss. Talisman donating 1,111 bits, his signature move there. Thank you so much. Heine Bush donated 50 bits, and Mr. Petrov gifted 5 Tier 1 subs. So thank you so much on that. Appreciate that, guys. And, there's actually been a few more since, now that I'm looking at it. Condolindrum donates 100 bits. Thank you. Japanese Horror Raider donates 1,000 bits. And CRD donates 666 bits. Wow, that's a little ominous. Nice. I like it. Very nice. So thank you for all the bits and subs, guys. Greatly appreciate it. All right, so yeah, that is the Navigant, which is a very interesting name, by the way. So yeah, we'll check this one out again once it hits the group buy phase. Maybe they'll make some changes. Maybe we'll like it a little bit more. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't you tell us about the next one, Jay? Because I feel like this one is a little closer to your heart.
It is. So this is the Borsdorf, which is a 66% AEKII ISO board. And I'll talk about why it's ISO only in a few minutes. We'll get onto that shortly in a few minutes. But this is by Darth WTF, who is one of our EU compatriots, a good friend of mine. And he's kind of done this in collaboration with West Foxtrot, who was the guy behind Cable Car Designs that did the ANSI group buy a while back, which has just made open source all the files as well, if you're interested in that. All those files for the board, full board are open source now. But this is the Borsdorf, which is kind of a German-inspired Apple AEKII board. So it's a top-mount board. It's made by Salvan, or at least the Founders Editions were. There's 10 of these in the wild right now, and it has a lovely curve along the edge, which I can show you just here because I do have one of my founders. I've got 2 of them. You can just see there that's got that lovely curve on both sides, which is really, really nice. I'll talk a little bit about why it's ISO only. So originally this project was designed for the KBD 661, which I don't know if you guys remember, but it was an old KBDfans board with really highly sloped sides. And West Foxtrot designed the Cyclops board, which was a 66% PCB, designed for ALP switches, which would fit into that board, and had a choice between having left or right USB ports. And it fit perfectly into the KBD 661 because it had the USB port on the correct side for that. And it was something that we a few of us built. I think Chris Squires built one. I built one. We had plates made up that fit into the 661, and we kind of built them with the AEK caps. And Darth wanted to take that a little bit further, and he built a whole board on that actually covered up the sides of the keycaps, because on the AEK boards, the original boards had a really nice curve to them, and the keycaps on the KBD 661 were kind of showing behind it a little bit because of the way that they're sculpted. So that's why the board came into existence. As I say, I have 2 of these. I joined the Founders Edition. I want to support Darth in his endeavours. He made them through Salvan. I've got one that's got a slightly colour mismatch. In one case, it's perfect. I've only built the slightly colour mismatch one. So as you can see, guys, it's perfect on this side. But then on this side, you can see that the base is just a slightly different colour. But anyway, Salvan's learning. So that's a little bit about the board itself. In terms of the keycaps, why ISO only? So Apple had a really interesting take on how they wanted to do ISO keyboards back when they were releasing the AEK2 boards originally. And what they did, because they wanted to be different, is they shifted the alpha keys 0.25U to the right. but they kept everything else, the start and end points of the board, the same position. What that meant they had to do is all of the modifiers on the left had to be 0.25U wider, and all of the modifiers on the right had to be 0.25U shallower. So we ended up with an ISO enter key that was quite skinny, as you can see just here, and not quite the same as, say, a GMK or any other layout ISO enter key. That does mean that you have to have very specific positioning for all of the keys on the PCB, and this wouldn't work with the ANSI sets because you put the alphas on and your modifiers just wouldn't be able to fit because there isn't enough room on the right hand side of the board to put the modifiers on, and there's too much room on the left hand side. So that's why it's designed for this. It's an EU project and it was designed specifically for the ISO layouts that we see, so the German, the Greek, the Dutch, the English, whatever you want to look at, the boards that we saw. I think there's mostly pictures of the German layout in the thread, and I think mine's UK English as well, so there you go, you can see put the UK keys on there.
Yeah, so
there we go. So that's the details. It's QMK compatible. I think they're going to look at VIA as well. I'm sure I saw that mentioned. Carbon fiber plates, and the only choice you've got in terms of the layout is whether you use the 0 key from the numpad here for the shift, or whether you use 2 1U keys from the numpad for the shift, and that's it, because you have to use these keycaps. There's no other keycaps you can use. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah, certainly a very interesting layout. And I know, I think it was it on last week's episode when you said it's like your favorite board right now?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, absolutely love it. I mean, partly it's the switches because it's brown Alps, but it sounds good. It feels good. It's really well designed. The case looks great. You know, the Founders Edition logo is lovely as well. You know, the Cerakoted on the board is fantastic. The look and feel of it is great. You know, I was lucky enough to be able to put the little Apple sticker on the front, which I think just finishes the board off really nicely. Honestly, it's just such a good board, and if you're an ISO user, at least this is really, really, really interesting. I absolutely adore this board. It's definitely one of my favorites. And when I took it to the UK meetup as well, it got more attention than pretty much anything else did, and I had things like the Prophet there, the Jer there, I had an Exent there, I had the VEA there, and I had quite a few other boards as well, and this got more attention than most of the other boards, so it was really, really nice to see. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks absolutely lovely. I love that swoop on it. I think it was really successful on things like the AEK 64 and other things of that nature, and I love it again here. It looks very, very nice.
Yeah, look at that curve. So good. So good. And the other thing I think about why it works really well as well is the keycaps as well. So whilst Apple got the layout wrong in terms of moving everything to the right 0.25 units, the actual sculpt of the AEK keycaps is quite possibly one of the nicest sculpts that's ever been made. And I really do wish we could get these keycaps today in MX Profile or something like that, because it is definitely my favorite profile keycap of all time. But sadly, it only works on, you know, a couple of custom boards. I think the other thing to say as well is this kind of works out as a EU version of the Lunar boards that we saw last year, where it's supported the ANSI AEK caps. So this kind of started as that as well, but yeah.
Awesome. So definitely looking forward to this group buy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our last keyboard topic before we move on to the ridiculous myriad of GMK sets and the like. So last little bit of a keyboard portion here. This is an interest check for a 60% marble case. Very, very simple. Not a whole lot going on here, but hey, it's a keyboard made of marble, which I don't think we've had before. Maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, we've sort of seen Corian with the unsuccessful Lumina group buy, I guess you said. I can't really call it a failed group buy yet if he winds up sending out units, but it's a very grim group buy, obviously. But we've talked about that before. We won't get into that. But Corian and Marble, very, very different. Corian is actually more akin to like an acrylic than a marble itself. So this could be pretty interesting if you're a fan of Marble. It's just going to be a very simple tray mount case here. It's going to accept pretty much any 60% PCB that's compatible. Which is, you know, just the standard left mount USB port 60% PCBs. There's going to be potentially a few different types of marble here, which he has a few different samples of, which is kind of cool. The kind of downside to this, if there is one, is the price. He's going to estimate 250 to 400 USD, which I presume is just for the tray mount case alone. You know, which does make it certainly one of the more expensive tray mounts that will ever exist, assuming this does make it. We've seen things in that price range as well. The Fiel, very iconic mechanics case. The Fiel has had a few rounds already, as well as the what was another expensive tray mount? The Unicorn, the TGR and Singa collaboration there. A little bit different there, obviously, but you know, not a cheap board. But how do you feel about this otherwise?
So I just want to say that we're trendsetters because it's literally only 2 shows ago where we talked about actually having keyboard cases made out of other materials, and I suggested marble as one of them. I think it was in the Q&A section, and then literally 2 weeks later we've got an interest check for one. So I like to think that we are influencing people in the right way to come up with new things, or at least I am. Maybe not so much you, Brian, but you know.
Yeah, I'm a terrible person. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
No, I just think it's really interesting that we're starting to see more materials now for keyboards. And I know I was being a bit wry there and a bit tongue-in-cheek, but we did mention it a couple of weeks on the show ago that we'd like to see more materials, and marble was one of the ones we suggested. We suggested marble, and you know, I think there's a couple of options as well. I think we both said we'd like to see a Damascus steel one and all that kind of stuff as well. So it's interesting to see that this is coming now as well. A couple of things. Marble is quite fragile stuff. You know, it's easy to shape in some respects, and I'm not sure how well you can mill it. So and this is just my ignorance. Like I know a fair bit about metals now after doing a couple of my own boards and stuff like that. I'm not sure how well you can mill and drill and work with marble. I'm not sure how forgiving that is. So I'd be interested to see that and see if part of the reason for the higher price, because marble as a material is not particularly expensive. It's more expensive for shaping it and making sure it's in the right, you know, shape, format, positions, and that kind of stuff, than it is for the material itself. So I'd be interested to see if there's actually a lot of failure expected in the price, especially when it's, you know, got $150 from end to end as to kind of what the price is going to be. That being said, I really want to know how this is going to sound. I can't even think about how it's going to sound. It's going to be very different. I like the fact that it's got a screw-in standoff, so you can put as many or as few in as you want. So you can have a 4-point tray mount if you want, or you can have a full 6-point tray mount. It's entirely up to you. So that's really good as well. But yeah, I can't imagine how this is going to sound. I do know that on a cold winter's morning, when you come into your office and you touch the keyboard, it's going to be freezing cold.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But you know, other than that, it's really interesting. Yeah, I will definitely buy one of these if it gets to group buy, because I'd just be so interested in seeing what it's like.
Yeah, I don't actually know the general cost of marble off the top of my head, but I'm hoping we get to the lower end of this, because I feel like it'll, even at 400, it's going to be a pretty hard sell. But I think at 250 is a little bit more palatable to pay for a tray mount case. Because I mean, you gotta like, there's not a whole lot of design here. It's a flat case. It looks like it has some feet on the bottom, probably just aluminum feet.
It actually looks like a 5-degree case to me.
Yeah, I mean, the design is not really like that out there. I think a lot of this, either you're going to be paying for the marble, and maybe marble's really expensive, or you're paying because it's incredibly hard to mill marble.
I think it's more the latter. I don't think marble's particularly expensive. It's certainly no more expensive than raw aluminium and other metals as well, which aren't particularly expensive. A lot of what we pay for in the community is milling time and machine time, and expertise as well for the people to manage those machines. And I suspect that it's going to be the case here. I do wonder, as I said before, if the price is so high because it expects a little bit of failure rate in there. You know, occasionally when you're having aluminium mills, you'll have one that gets, you know, milled incorrectly. But I can quite imagine that if you did this too fast or too slow or whatever, you might end up cracking the case and splitting it in two, because marble is really strong, but it's quite fragile as well at the same time. It's I'm half asleep, so I can't remember the right words, but it's easy to snap and break, but it can be quite rigid and firm at the time. The tensile strength, brittle, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, I was going like tensile strength. I was thinking of everything, but it's quite brittle. So it's really strong, but it's quite brittle as well at the same time. It doesn't take much to it's like glass as well. If you etch it, you can actually snap marble where you etch it, like you can ceramic tile as well. So I'd be interested to see how it works out from that perspective. Yeah, you guys all got there before me because I'm half asleep and everyone's saying brittle in chat now. In my defense, it's 3 a.m. in the morning.
You can't ever pull one over on Twitch chat. Everyone, you're always going to get caught no matter what happens.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to try one of these, and also just looking at the colours that he's got, that green one on the left hand side, the one that's kind of vertical. That is so nice. Can you imagine a keyboard case made of that?
Yeah, that's got to be one of the biggest benefits of this, is being able to choose from designs that are just so amazing looking that you just can't really get from a metal product. So that'll definitely be pretty cool. We'll have to check this out again if it hits the group buy phase, and hopefully the price isn't too terribly high. Maybe we can see a prototype in the near future. That'd be nice as well. This is obviously only 2 renders here, aside from the physical marble samples.
I think right. It has to prove that this is doable before the group buy runs. That is one thing that does worry me on this one, though, the fact that we haven't seen it before. So, and it's a new material. It's not like when we were talking about the Hailey before, where we haven't seen a prototype, and we want to see a prototype before we buy. But that's just metals that we've seen before. We've seen stainless steel before. We've seen aluminium before. We've seen PCBs before. We've seen carbon fiber plates before. We haven't seen marble cases before, so this absolutely does have to have a prototype before I would be willing to buy one. With that being said, King of Memes, if you're watching this and you want some feedback on it, I'm absolutely happy to help out with funding and stuff like that, or something like this, and try and get something up and running and get a prototype in. So yeah.
Very, very nice. All right, let's move away from keyboards and over to key sets. Because boy, do we have a lot of them. We should just do the entire key set section as like a lightning round. How do you feel about that, Jay?
Yeah, I'm comfortable to do it as a lightning round. Yeah.
All right, okay. So we'll try to be quick about this, guys, because there are a lot of key sets to talk about this week.
So what's the first one? What's up first?
Yeah, we're going to start out with an interest check by C.I. Jansen for SA Skyriter. So this is an SA set that is inspired by an early 50s typewriter, which is also going by the same name, Skyriter, from Smith Corona. And this uses several shades of green. I'm going to make sure I get this right here, because I know he does say it somewhere in here. So like a deep forest green, an olive green, and a seafoam kind of color as well. So he has the Pantones listed here. He's got kit breakdowns. It looks like it's just going to be kind of one big all-encompassing base kit, which I do like quite a bit. It does have a fair amount of compatibility, including UK ISO for you, Jay. Very nice. He's got some renders over here on the Molly. I think it looks pretty fantastic, if I do say so myself. It is going to be manufactured by Signature Plastics, of course, and it's going to be using their traditional 112343 profile.
Okay, cool. So my thought is it's the right profile, and I think the base kit looked great. There's pretty much compatibility for everything you could want there, including that standard 7U and 6.25U bottom rows. Great to see UK ISO. That's a big plus. In terms of colours, I think this looks absolutely lovely. I'm not usually a fan of SA. I've kind of moved away from it over the years, but this might be the set that brings me back to SA, because I love a green key set, and I don't think we have enough good green key sets in the community right now. This is something that plugs that gap really nicely. That old Smith Corona keyboard as well is absolutely stunning. Typewriter is absolutely stunning. I want to see more pictures of that. I hope you have one, C. Johnson. I hope you've got one of those so you can show me. But yeah, I think this is great. This key set looks good. And I think it might be what pulls me back into the SA fold. That updated kit looks really good. I like the influence. The sculpt is the right sculpt. The renders look good. The colours work well together. Yeah, really happy to see this. Yeah, I think it looks great.
Yep, he's got. I mean, it's a good interest check. He's got a theme. He's got pictures of the theme material here with the Smith Corona board. He's got renders. He's got the Pantones laid out. He's got a base kit fully readied for you. This is a very successful interest check. Very nice.
Also, just one thing I've noticed before we move on, really quickly, the finish on that vintage keyboard, the vintage typewriter, the actual grey part of it looks really nice. It actually reminds me of this, which has kind of got a bit of texture to it, but that finish looks really good. I want to see a keyboard with that kind of rough finish on it. That looks really nice.
Yeah,
anyway.
That could be nice. All right.
Yeah.
We're staying with the lightning round, guys. Bear with us. All right, next up, we're staying on the SA train, still an interest check. This is for SA Sail by Fredington, I believe is how it's going to be pronounced. And similar to our last topic, this is also going to be kind of inspired off of some old stuff here. So this is based on Sail, which is the Stanford Artificial Intelligence Lab keyboard created by Les Ernest here. He's got a little bit of a backstory here. I like seeing that. But here is the original source material there. Very nice. So how do you feel about this color so far, right off the bat here?
The colour's nice. I think it works well with the dark boards that we've seen there. I'm not sure how it would look on a light board or on a silver board. It might be a little bit too off. And I'd probably echo my comments about the GMK set that we saw the other week. The GMK Finer Things, I think it was, which is a very similar colourway. In that I'm not sure how legible the legends will be on it as well. Depending on how the colours come out, it might not work. But that being said, when you look at the old keyboard that this is based on, it looks really, really crisp. There doesn't look to be any legend issues from that in the SA profile and the colours. So if the colours match that, I think it'll look really, really good. Just in terms of a couple of things, so the whole history thing on this one, the Stanford AI Lab, I said before I hadn't read this interest check, and I haven't. This is my first, literally my hot take on it. But I didn't realize that what the sales stood for, so now I do. I know all about Les and John McCarthy and all of that kind of stuff, because they were the original guys behind the Lisp programming language. And when I did the Hyper 7, that was something that I looked into quite a lot. And the actual legends on these keys are an earlier version of what became the Lisp language eventually as well, which is why it's very similar in terms of the sub-legends, or the sub-legends the other way around on this one. So just on Symbiosis, Space Cadet, all of that kind of stuff for Hyper 7s, you'll have seen that you have the legend and the sub-legend underneath it. This is the other way around, if I remember correctly, where the actual legend is the lower one and the sub-legend is the top one, but it shows all of those different functions and availability stuff, and I think that looks great as well. So I really, really like this interest check from that perspective. And also as well, I'm hoping that the traditional letters that are on the original board make it into this one as well. So the way that the Z has the line through it, I think which is a very vintage way of drawing that character. I hope things like that make it into the final key set as well, because it's in the base kit renders, so I'd like to see that. In terms of kits, just give me UK ISO and I'll be really happy on this one. Again, 2 sets that are going to drag me back into the SA world.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting one. So the kit breakdown, there's 3 kits. There's the base kit, which does cut out things like ISO, things like numpad, and gives you relatively limited compatibility otherwise, but you can fit a lot of the more popular layouts for sure. There is going to be a numpad kit, and there is going to be a basic ISO kit as well. As far as the renders are concerned, I think they look absolutely lovely. I think the color is fantastic here. I love that he's just pulling more of that vintage inspiration, because the deeper I fall into the hobby, the more and more I actually appreciate vintage stuff more than modern stuff, just because I'm so used to being barraged with new stuff. It's kind of nice to see an homage to the past as well. Just like when I go to meetups, I don't really care about any of the the custom, awesome, cool, really expensive boards that people have. I care about the vintage stuff, because that's stuff I've never seen before. So it kind of invokes that feeling in me as well. So I like this a lot. I think it looks pretty awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, two final things from me on this one is, one, I love the renders on the iron because they're in ISO. Great, like to see that. We very rarely see ISO renders. Even I don't do ISO renders all the time on my boards, so it's good to see that. And the final thing as well is that because these are all new legends, these legends don't exist. They're not the same as the Hyper 7 ones. They're not the same as the Symbiosis ones that 7-Bit and other people have done in the past. These are brand new. That is going to mean new molds. That might mean a higher price for this group by than what we've seen before, because all of the keys are going to need new molds for them. So it's just worthwhile bearing that in mind. So if you see a little bit of a high price, just be accepting of that, because it is something very new and it's new molds from that perspective. So yeah, but no, I really like it. Really, really interested in this. Yep,
certainly. Awesome. All right, moving on over to the Cherry Profile PBT side of things. Don't worry, guys, the GMK wave is coming. We haven't failed you.
I feel like you could have broken this up. You could have broken this up. You could have done 2 or 3 GMK sets, an SA set, 2 or 3 GMK sets, this Infinikey set, 2 or 3 GMK sets, and another SA set. We could have broken this up.
Well, guess what, Jay? I didn't. So you're gonna have to bear with me on this one. So
go on, right? What were we talking about now? PBT, right?
Yep, PBT. So this is an interest check for the Infinikey PBT white on black and black on white standard sets. So this is pretty cool. Oftentimes in the show, we like to talk about how basic key set colorways like black on white and white on black, things like that, should be stocked permanently in places where people can just go and buy them, because it's not some colorway that you can patent. It's not an original idea. It's black and white, guys, and it should be very easily accessible. So here is something that the company is trying to rectify, which I definitely greatly appreciate. And there are a few different varieties here. There's 4 varieties, in fact. There is black on white, there's white on black, and then there are Apple versions of white on black and black on white. So you're covered pretty much whatever kind of direction you want to go. Don't be fooled by this kit breakdown. This is all one set. So one singular set here is going to cover pretty much everything that you need in a standard Infinikey fashion like we've been seeing before. The compatibility is extremely high for the price. So we love seeing that. There is no estimated price here, but I did talk with Rise of the key company before the show, and he did estimate it would probably be around the $90 to $110 mark, similar to the Infinikey Katakana PBT sets that we saw not too long ago from them. So really looking forward to this one, because you can't really hate on it. It's classic, black and white, white and black, fantastic, great compatibility, even got UK ISO in there, very nice, some 40 support, lots of space bars, and that's it. You can't hate on it because there's so many keys for the price, and I really do love seeing that. Not that they're necessarily perfect, because even though they are a sponsor, I do have to be extra critical on them. I do have one of the Katakana PBT sets. Very, very nice for the price. However, some of the space bars are a little discolored, and there is a little bit of warping on some of the keys. So maybe they're still kind of working out some of their manufacturing tweaks. So hopefully they can get everything corrected, because very, very high potential and very, very high value on these sets.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things just to build on what you said there, Brian. I like to see the fact that we've got the Apple keys as well. The reason why I was talking about the Apple keycaps earlier on so much, and I know this isn't the same sculpt, but it is the same style. I think those are really, really nice, and I'm excited to try them out as well. Big shout out as well for the base kits. I think they're absolutely fantastic. At 100, even if they're at the high mark of what Rise expected, $110. $110 is in line with the standard GMK base kit, but you're getting nearly twice as many keys as what you get in most GMK base kits here. There's an absolute ton of compatibility. You know, what you'd normally get in GMK sets, you probably have to buy 2 or 3 different kits to get this kind of compatibility, if you could even cover all of this stuff. So it's really interesting to see that. I was quite impressed with the Katakana set as well. I've got a set from Jason as well. Even the reverse dice is pretty crisp.
The dice set's very good.
Yeah, even the reverse stuff's really good. I didn't have any problems with the warping on any of my keys, but I have noticed that the space bars started to discolor a little bit as well. I don't know if that's because it's just done in a slightly separate mold or slightly separate factory or whatever, but it has slightly changed in color. But it's only noticeable in certain lights, but that might be something that's been addressed.
Yeah.
But big compliments on the base kit, and just the fact that we're going to see white on black and black on white sets that are in stock now. That's really good. You know, this is great for people who are just starting out in the community and want something. It's great for people who've got, you know, huge collections of boards as well that want, you know, extra key sets to put on them. That's just going to give you coverage and give you a classic look and feel either way. So yeah, I think I'll definitely be down for at least one of the sets of Apple ones at least, because I think it looks great.
Yeah. Also, they started including scooped F&J as well as the standard barred F&J, I believe. Or I don't know if these are nippled or not. I don't remember. But a couple different homing key options here on these sets. So that's pretty cool. Awesome. All right. So looking forward to that. Now we move into the world of GMK. And we're actually moving away from interest checks. And we're moving on to group buys because, oh boy, lots of GMK group buys going on right now. We're going to start with the group buy for GMK Alter, and this is the set that we covered a little while back from CFO, and this is based on the Fate media franchise. Fate obviously being a franchise based around manga, anime, and you know, other products as well. So very, very interesting looking set. It's going to start at $130 for the base kit, and that's at 250 MOQ. I think the set looks pretty nice. I like the colors. I worry about the contrast a little bit. At least in these renders, but it's hard to tell until we actually see physical samples. But how do you feel about this one otherwise?
So I'm, as everyone knows, I'm not you know, an anime fan. I don't get the inspiration behind it, and I'm not typically a fan of the you know, Hiragana sub-legends. That being said, I think this one looks alright. hot take. It reminds me of a darker version of GMK Laser. That's what I see when I look at it. I see like a laser through sunglasses almost. If you look at laser through dark sunglasses, is kind of what I imagine. I think it's all right. It's not one for me, I'll be honest. I just don't. And I think that's just because I don't relate to the inspiration behind it. So I don't want to take anything away from the set. I think the compatibility is quite good. I think it's okay. There's ISO in there, numpad in the base kit. Pretty much, everything you could need support for. A couple of different bottom row options, HHKB, TKL. It's all there. There's nothing wrong with the base kit. The spacebar kit is adequately priced at $20. The novelties kit again at $40. So not too many kits. Keep it nice and small and simple. Really appreciate that. I think the novelties are fine, but again, I don't get the inspiration. But I do really like the Chalice novelty. I think that's really nice. I like that one key. That being said, what I do really, really like about this is the desk mats, because I have no idea what it is or what it shows or what it displays, but I really like that. I think that looks great.
Yeah,
I think it looks really interesting and fantastic. So yeah. I really like the desk mat.
Yeah, I mean the set looks pretty reasonable. I think the colors look pretty reasonable. The compatibility is pretty reasonable. The price is reasonable. I love the desk mat. I also like that there's a sleeve option too. We don't see sleeve options enough on key sets, so I appreciate that quite a bit. It starts at $130, so not too bad. That's pretty normal for a GMK set that also has numpad in the base kit as well as ISO. So I think this is pretty reasonably priced. Can't really complain about that. So. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, I think it's close to hitting MOQ already as well from what I've seen in chat earlier on today. So
yeah,
I don't think it's too far away, even though we're only a few days into the month. Yeah.
Yep, cool. All right, moving on to our next GMK group buy, Shark Bait by Waves Don't Die. So this is not the first shark-themed set that we've seen, but it is the first one to successfully start a group buy, I guess you could say, since Hammerhead did get taken down to get reworked. So this one is being ran on a few different proxies there, Kono in the US, as well as the rest of your proxies listed there. Base kit looks pretty good. There is quite a bit of keys in here. The base kit does start at 145 US though, so it is definitely on the higher end of price for GMK base kits right now, but it does have numpad, it does have ISO, it does have accents, and it does have a decent compatibility otherwise. So.
Yeah, and I think the accents is probably the big difference in the price there compared to the last set we looked at. That extra $15 is there's a couple more keys in this base kit, but you've got the accent escape enters and arrow keys as well. I think that's where you're starting to see the $15 added. So I think the price is absolutely reasonable. If we're calling the last price reasonable for adding an accent kit into the base kit, I think you've got to call this price reasonable as well. I think it'd be unfair to do anything else.
Yep.
Do you know what? I'm going to give a hot take now. When I first saw this set, and I think when we talked about it in Interest Check, I wasn't a massive fan, but it's really grown on me. I actually really like the base kit now. I think it looks really nice and interesting, especially with those white accent keys. The more I look at it, the more I like it. Perhaps I'm just getting soft in my old age, or something's changed, but I just genuinely really like this key set. It feels calm, it feels nice, it feels relaxed. I don't know if it's something I'll buy in group buy or if I'll wait to the aftermarket to try and pick something up, but I actually kind of like it.
Don't worry, Jay. I'll debate with you because this is actually my least favorite shark-themed GMK set.
I would say I do prefer Hammerhead, especially the dark kit of Hammerhead, personally. But that being said, I don't want to take anything away from this. I do still really like this. In terms of the novelties,
they're fine.
I'm not a fan of those.
They're fine.
They're
at best.
Okay. Yeah. The only one that I kind of like is the novelty enter, the ANSI enter, but I don't like the red color of it. I suspect they're trying to go for the whole kind of blood kind of thing, or red raw fish meat or something like that. I just don't think it really worked particularly well for me. And I absolutely dislike with a passion the jaws keycaps as well, where it's the two sets of jaws and closing it. I'm not a fan of that at all. But other than that, I think it looks nice. It looks really nice on the whiteboards, the silver boards in the renders, and I think it looks okay. I'm not sure if I like it enough, as I say, to pick it up in group buy, or if I'll wait to try and pick something up aftermarket, but I would like to at least see this in the flesh at some point.
Yeah, as far as shark-themed GMK key sets, I really do like Hammerhead quite a bit more. This feels like just kind of a weaker version of that. That aside, I do think that, like you mentioned, I think the price is reasonable for the base kit. Base kit is pretty nice. The kit breakdown's pretty nice. It's just not for me color wise.
Yeah, and also just as well, just so you guys are aware, the guys at Kono, they have decided that they want to support the Shark Trust, so they're going to be using some of the proceeds to adopt up to 6 different sharks as well. So yeah, really interesting to see that. And we're going to the guys going to try and get the other vendors to look at it as well. Who's running it? So Waves Don't Die is going to try and get the other vendors to do the same. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, it's nice to see some more charity work being done as part of group buys.
Yep, for sure. Awesome. Moving on to our next GMK group buy. This is Delta over at Cannon Keys, and this one is pretty interesting in my opinion. I like the colors quite a bit on this. I know it's been some people have been telling me they don't really like it quite as much, but I think the colors work really, really well. It's nice. I love this particular teal color, or whatever kind of color this is. I think it goes really, really, really well just on the mods. A lot of people have been telling me they don't like it because they feel like that color or a different color should be on the alphas. I actually prefer it more this way.
Yeah, okay, so a couple of things from me on this one. So just talk about the facts first of all. The base kit is an all-inclusive base kit, so you've got numpad, you've got basic ISO, you've got a couple of Delta novelties in there as well. Lots of different options and keys and pretty much anything you could possibly need to get compatibility for as well. Just a shout out to UPass as well, because the last time I looked at the kits for this, it only included the accent enter for ISO, and it now includes both enters for ISO, so that's a really good change. I tend not to use the accent ISOs. Everyone will remember my Honeywell drama, where I've got the original Honeywell, and I still don't have the grey ISO enter from Honeywell because the original kit didn't have it, and the new kit with the revised red does, and I can't find the new kit for love nor money. So it's really nice to see that UPass has changed that and put the standard ISO enter back in, but I think the base kit is fine. In terms of other kits, there is only one other kit. There's a spacebar kit, which has a lot of different compatibility. You know, it covers a lot of different split support and everything else, as well as giving you those accented spacebars as well. Personally, I think the accented spacebars would detract from the look of this kit. I think it's quite smart and quite nice with the white crisp alphas, black on white alphas, almost like minimal alphas, and then the cyan black.
Yeah. It's very subtle. It doesn't shove the theme down your throat, which I like.
Yeah, and yeah, I would agree with that. I also like the desk mat for it as well. I think the desk mat's really good with the fractal patterns and stuff like that. The
desk mat looks awesome. Totally agree.
It looks really good. Yeah.
Base kit price $135. That's pretty good compatibility for $135.
It is. So I told UPass that I wasn't going to buy it because it didn't have the ISO enter in there. That wasn't the accent one, and now it does have it in. So I'm going to have to try.
You're going to have to buy it.
Yeah. I can't not now he's done that. So so I will be picking this up. I do think it's a really nice set. I think this is a more modern version of what Hyperfuse was for the community 4 years ago.
Wow, that's a pretty hot take. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep. So lots of vendors to choose from there based on where you are in the world. So make sure to go pick that up if you're a fan.
Yeah. If you want another really quick hot take as well, and you don't have to respond to this, we can move straight on. I'm almost wondering if this would have been better as just a mod pack and rather than having the alphas included as well. I don't know. And literally just the thought came to me then. I'm just wondering if this had been done as a GMK Delta mod pack that you could pair with any alphas you wanted, minimal or whatever you wanted. What do people think to that? Anyway,
interesting. I'm gonna move on because you gave me the option. We can maybe talk about that a little bit more during the Q&A section or something. But we're gonna try to get through all of these GMK group buys. Sorry, before we move on to that. So this next one is the group buy for GMK Ascii, and this is obviously based on this old vintage keyboard here that you see pictured.
Yeah.
With all these ASCII legends, which is very interesting. So this is a really simple set. It's monochrome, it's two-tone, very, very simple, but the beauty is in not only the simplicity, but also your presumed love of ASCII. How do you like this one?
I really like it. I like anything that's influenced by vintage kind of stuff. So those old vintage keys, stuff like that, we don't see enough of that anymore. So like I said on the Sail inspired one earlier on, I think this looks great. I'm not sure if it's a must-buy from me, and the reason for that, and there's a single sole reason for that, is that the ISO keys has the 2 keys that are the same, and that really puts me off buying sets that do that. That's literally the biggest problem I've got with this set. Other than that, I think it's really good to pay homage to all these old sets, these old designs, these old boards that have all the different programming languages and everything else that was developed as well. So I also really want the original board that was at the Kono Input office that Blosky visited, because that board looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, if you're ever in the San Jose area, that's the best way to kill a bunch of time. Just go visit the Input Club lab and just check out like Hata's collection, because it's wild the kind of stuff he has there. Like you'll never look at keyboards. You'll never look at the keyboard hobby like the same way again. It's absolutely incredible. So yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Starts at $130. Base kit, pretty reasonable compatibility. I know a lot of people probably want to buy it just for this F key to begin with, the FAC key, FACK. Very, very nice there. Love that. Couple different kits going on. You have icon modifiers if you don't like the text modifiers. I know Oblosky, the designer here, really likes text modifiers. He does that in a lot of his sets, so no deterring from the norm there in the base kit, but there is an icon modifiers pack if you're like me and prefer that. There is going to be a 40s kit, a Spacebars kit, and yeah, pretty good stuff. So make sure to check that out. That ends on the 29th of this month. So get in on that if that is your thing. Also, quick shout out, because one thing I do like about the set is the forced row 0 and row 5.
Yes, so that was the last thing I was going to mention, actually. Row 0 and row 5. I had 2 more things to mention. That was one of them. You beat me to it. Row 0 and row 5. Perfect.
Very nice.
Perfection. That is probably the biggest draw for this set for me. And the other thing as well is that I just wanted to say, and I just dropped the link into the chat as well, the current MOQ on this one is set at 500 base kits, and it's at 107 as of the 6th of November. I just think that's a huge MOQ these days. Most sets are priced at 250, so for this to be priced at 500 is quite interesting.
Yeah. To give this actually some more clarity, at least right now, this is running on Kono. Kono is currently running 5 GMK sets, and they're slated to run 2 more before the end of the month. So they're planning on running a minimum of 7 GMK sets simultaneously this month. Think about that for a second. That is wild. That's just Kono.
That is huge.
That's outrageous. I think that's a record for the most GMK sets run. Probably the most key sets run at one time by one vendor. Absolutely ridiculous.
And this is probably the most complex as well, because those molds don't exist for those keys in GMK. So this is all new molds, it's all new designs, which is part of the reason why I think the MOQ is so high to keep the price low. I think the $130 would be significantly higher if it had been priced at 250 MOQ. I think it probably close to 160 probably. So yeah. Yep.
All right, moving on. We have another GMK group buy. This is Umbra. By Patricksu, I think is going to be how you pronounce that username, and this is based off the Pokemon Umbreon. I'm not really a Pokemon expert. I played it a lot when I was a kid, but I have since quite fallen out of it. So I'm not 100% sure on the coloring theme here, but I do think the set looks pretty darn nice. This is another one of the Kono sets running this month. And the base kit breakdown, actually pretty decent here. You do have UK ISO as well as numpad right there in the base kit. And just like a lot of the other Kono sets running this month, it is going to start at a $145 base kit price. But I think that's, while it's still towards the higher end of GMK sets right now, I think the compatibility makes it pretty palatable still.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of compatibility in this, because you've got accents, you've got, although interestingly, arrow accent keys, but then you've also got numpad, you've got all sorts of different keys for that. You've got loads of compatibility in the 65% area of the board, more than you'd usually get. You've also got both UK ISO and US ISO in the base, which is something we don't always see. Usually it's a mixture of the two, or it's just UK.
Arguably unnecessary.
I would agree that US ISO is...
Yeah.
It feels like arguing for ISO support. I feel sometimes it's a bit cheeky when I do it on sets that... I mean, I only ever do it on sets that I'm going to buy, so I think that's fine.
I would bet 0 people that buy this are going to actually take advantage of the US ISO portion of the set.
Out of all of the ISO users I know, and I know a lot of them, I only know one person that uses US ISO. In fact, no, I know 2. I know one person who uses US ISO and one person who's going to try US ISO out because they've joined into the project that Gondolindrum and I had with the Doddle 60 PCB. So,
are they going to buy this set? Because
I don't know to either.
I really feel like 0 people that buy this set are going to use the US ISO.
Yeah, so 159 is asking how many ISO users there are. So I think there's at least 7 ISO users worldwide. So yeah, no, it's I would say 70% of whatever my keyboard sells is probably the ISO community. So to give you some stats on that, that's probably where. And that's probably a bad guess, but I'd feel like that's probably where I'd say. In terms of the set as well, I think it looks nice. I think it looks pretty good. It's not an unattractive set. Do you know what this reminds me of? Okay, I'm full of hot takes today. People need to start paying attention to them, I think.
Interesting. I wonder why you're so full of hot takes. Interesting.
Because I've been thinking about things. But this reminds me of GMK Hydro Dark. That's what it looks like to me. It's GMK Hydro, but dark themed, or GMK Hydro Nights, or whatever you want to call it. That's what it looks like to me. It's the dark version of GMK Hydro.
Yeah, certainly. I think the blue is really nice here. Similar to the Delta set, I feel like this set does a really good job of keeping a theme but not shoving a ton of color down your throat.
And just as I was going to mention something, again, I think you're half reading my mind today, Brian, because I was going to say that I reckon that these alphas would look really nice paired with the Delta mods.
Well, to be fair, Jay, I'm always reading your mind. So that's kind of just the way things are. Anyways, like I mentioned before, this is going to start at $145 base kit, but it is very, very, very well-packed base kit. You do have a couple other kit options if you're more into the Hiragana sub-legends. He's got you covered here. There is a very nice spacebar kit as well.
Yeah, just on the Hiragana sub-legends. Full UK ISO in the Hiragana sub-legends. We've not seen that before, I don't think. That's the first time we've seen someone actually change the ISO keys to full Hiragana as well.
That is pretty interesting. That is pretty darn interesting.
First time we've seen it, as far as I'm aware.
It's also a pretty rich spacebar kit too. It's a lot of spacebars in that kit.
Yeah.
Desk mat, big thumbs up there. It's simple. Doesn't need to be overly complicated. A lot of people, I think, make that mistake with desk mats, in my opinion. A lot of people go way too far, but here I think this is pretty successful. Of course, you're going to have cables and Rama caps, and it's a GMK key set in 2019, so it's going to have 800 billion add-ons, and you can theme your entire life around this set if you so choose. So very, very nice. Also the packaging. Look at that packaging. That's clean. Love that.
Yeah. I think, and a couple of people are just chatting about this in chat as well. I think this is a nicer version of, and I hate to say this because I really like the go behind the last one, but I think this is a nicer version of Phosphorus that ran last month. I think this just works a little bit nicer. Yeah, I think I'd agree with with that.
I like Phosphorus more.
Interesting.
Because Phosphorus. Phosphorus is a little bit more like cyan, kind of, and I really, really like that particular color. But I do like this as well.
Okay.
Anyway,
they're both very different sets, but either way. Yeah.
I love that Pork Chop Express says gonna need a hot take counter for Jay next week. I feel like this show doesn't use counters nearly as often as we should.
We need a little button that pings up in the corner for every time I do a hot take, and we need a little banner that comes across whenever I use the catchphrase that we coined a couple of weeks ago. Which reminds me, Mountain Tops, if you're watching, I need to sort out that shirt with you. I do need to sort that out. I will get that done. So yeah.
Also, quick before we move on to our next topic, shout out to CI Jansen, who did donate 200 bits a little bit ago, and Existentially Yours, who did host us for up to 9 viewers. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you both. Yeah, and if you hear from Existentially Yours, great to see you guys. And C Jansen as well. Just tell me where I need to sign up for your set, dude.
Heck yeah. And don't worry, Jay, we still have way more GMK group buys to go. I know it feels like we've already covered a few, but it's not stopping now. Next up, we have GMK Analog Dreams, which is open now and until the 30th. This is the newest set from P-Wade3, who is also one of the designers behind GMK Taro, a very popular set from a couple years back. And I think this one has the potential to be very successful as well. This is a very pastel effect kind of set, I feel like. And personally, to me, I think that looks absolutely beautiful. Also, $120 base kit, which is pretty nice, but it does omit the numpad here. You do get a fair amount of compatibility otherwise, but no ISO as well. But you do get a little bit of 40 support, some split spacebar support. There's a little convex, I think 2U spacebar right there as well. So very, very interesting kind of support here. How do you feel about this?
Yeah. Okay, so I really like Quaid, who's behind this set, and you know he did Terra as well, which is one of my favourite sets of all time. A little bit. Again, I don't want this to come across as negative criticism, but it's very unusual to have multiple sets of accent keys in the base kit, and here we can see at least 2 different colours. So we've got the yellow accent keys that you see on both the enter, the escape, and the arrow keys, and you've also got the pink one as well. So it feels like there's been some sacrifices made in the compatibility of the base kit to make sure that those could be supported, which is an interesting way of doing things. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's different.
That's actually that's actually a great topic unto itself. Is it worth sacrificing compatibility to actually put multiple accents in? Is this worth it?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that right now because I need to think about it and make a decision later on. But in terms of the set itself, just talking through the rest of the kits, I think you got around to the Japanese Alpha kit before I rudely interrupted you, which again has got lots of caps in there as well, lots of support, and an extra tab key as well, which is really good because it means that if you've got the 2 different types of modifiers, you can just get 2 different sets out of this if you buy the base and the Japanese Alphas. You've got a numpad and ISO kit, which includes full UK ISO as well. Again, I've always said if you're going to take the ISO out, put it with another kit, so that and same with numpad, so that they can bolster each other in terms of the sales numbers, or so that people can share. So Brian could buy the numpad and I could buy the ISO kit, and we both get what we needed. The Spacebars kit is huge. There is lots of different coloured Spacebars in there. I do feel like that's probably slightly too big for me. I'd have picked, for the splits, I would pick one colour or the other, not put all 3 different splits in there. I think maybe, I don't know. I have to think on that. And then finally, there's the novelties kit, which I really, really do love. A lot of these novelties, I think some of these are really, really, really great.
Yeah.
The kind of the Windows keys that are kind of
love that. Absolutely love that.
Freaking amazing are those. Also a really big fan of the kind of Mac, the floppy disk and the Dolphin. I think those are really, really good novelties too. Yeah, really impressed with those.
Yeah, love the novelties pack. I think it's very successful here. But yeah, just while we're here, let's talk about this for a quick second, guys. How do you guys feel about sacrificing keycap compatibility to fit more accent keys in a set? Because we don't really see this very often, like Jay mentioned. There's 3 different accent colors in this, and that goes along with the rest of the set as well, including the numpad ISO kit here. You're getting more keys per kit because they're putting accents in all of them. Spacebars kit, novelties kit, they're all huge because they're trying to support so many accents. Do you think this is worth it for sacrificing compatibility in the base kit? Because you could take out 2 of these colored accents and put in UK ISO support, maybe even a numpad. It's hard to say. But the base kit does start at $120, which for this compatibility is fine. It's not too much or too little. I do think it's pretty reasonable. All right. So what are people saying? WTF? Definitely not. Bummer. Accents are a must. All right. Drac had 5. Drac had 5 accents. That's pretty extreme. Give more accents. Sheesh. Less accents, less forced novelties in the base. All right, so it's maybe a little split here, but it seems like a lot of people are people tend to favor the compatibility more. But it's hard to say because the people that are probably okay with this kind of setup are the people that don't need additional compatibility beyond what the base kit already offers. People like
exactly.
me.
And I think that's the key point there. I think it depends entirely on which demographic of the community you ask as to which answer they're going to give you. If you get anti-TKL users, they will absolutely tell you that they think more accents is great. The users that are seeing the stuff that they are used to seeing in a base kit being removed to support this, they're going to have the opposite opinion in general. And I am generalizing. There's obviously going to be outliers and people who have different opinions on either side, but that's generally how it's going to fall.
Oh yeah,
because to Matt Clack as well for the 1,000 bits. Thank you very much, dude. Sorry I missed that before. 1,000 bits. Wow, thank you, dude. Thank you.
That's a lot of bits. Thank you very much. But yeah, like just like what I was just saying, like if I buy this base kit, I'm gonna be happy because it's gonna have everything I need, and I'm gonna have 3 different options for accents. If you buy this base kit, you can't even use it. So
yeah, I now have to buy another kit to go with it as well.
Yeah,
so what would have been?
And it's a base kit that you might have been able to use otherwise if there weren't so many accents in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is an interesting debate. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, and I think it entirely depends on who you are as a user in this community as to what you think the right answer is. And I don't think we'll ever resolve it because I think it'll be different for every set and it'll be different for every person. As communities grow larger and smaller and things like that across the world, it's like the community is staying broadly the same in terms of the percentage that is in the EU and may use ISO, for example. And I know we pick on ISO a lot, but the numbers stays broadly the same as compared to the rest of the world that use ANSI. But the actual terms of numbers of people that are buying into these kits as sets has grown massively. We've gone from a point where 2 years ago you'd have one set run a month and it might hit 250 if you were lucky, to now running 12 in a month, and we're pretty much confident that nearly all of them are going to hit 250 and some are going to go over 1,000. So just the sheer volume of people with purchasing power in the hobby is going to change that, and I do wonder if we need to start thinking more holistically about how kit design is done and breakdown is done, rather than just concentrating on one specific segment of the market, which is the majority, which is the ANSI TKL type user. And I know I'm generalizing here, but I'm wondering if we need to start thinking about what could we do in terms of having base kits that are different for different parts of the world, and try and keep the same price, and how open would GMK be to looking at stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
There's lots of different options in that kind of remit.
It'd be really cool to actually get some kind of census, some kind of statistical analysis to see what kind of kit breakdown actually works best for the most amount of people. Because
I've had this thought before, but how do you police something like that? Like a census in like a country is mandated; you have to do it. How would you police that in a community?
Well,
people just choose not to fill it in, or they might do, or it might not get posted in one Discord server, but it might get posted in another, and that just gives you a bias because it's an Asian-based Discord server, or a US-based Discord server, or an EU-based Discord server, and all of a sudden that kind of skews your numbers and doesn't give you an accurate reflection. I think it's difficult to say.
Yeah. Anyways, regardless, back to the set. I think potential compatibility problems otherwise with all these accents, but I think the set does look pretty darn good in itself, and novelties pretty darn nice. I think the packaging desk mat looks fantastic as well. It's a nice looking set.
I think it looks great.
Yep. Cool. All right. Next up, I'm gonna give you a brief break from GMK, just a brief one. Just a brief one, but we're gonna get back to GMK. So here we have a cat group buy. Finally, we have Cat Eternal. Very, very nice. This is run by Minterly. It's gonna be open until December 1st. You can get it from your proxies listed there. Cannon Keys is gonna be your US proxy, and very nice breakdowns in this thread. So this has actually been an interest check for a little while now. I'm trying to scroll down to the renders. Holy crap! There's so many kits because cat. Here we go. Let's actually take a look at the key set itself. So this is a key set that I want to love because I do love the colors, but I also kind of hate key sets like this. I hate key sets that have the kind of like wave effect of colors where it kind of all comes down. Yeah, gradient. Sorry, I couldn't remember the word. I've never really liked any of them in the past, and unfortunately, I kind of feel the same about this one. Although, if I had to pick a favorite gradient set, this would probably be it, because I do love the colors, but I don't really like that type of theme, generally speaking. But how do you feel about this?
One, cat profile, love cat profile, think it's great. So that's a big positive in my book. In terms of the actual key set itself, I think this looks really nice. I've always been a fan of gradient sets. I've liked gradient sets for a long time. One of the earliest things I wanted was 1976, for example, which
hate that set.
See, I kind of like it. I
that
think it looks
set.
fun and interesting.
Jay, we're not allowed to have different opinions, all right? You have to agree.
Of course
with me.
we are.
No, you have to agree with me.
It's better when we do have different opinions. I'm sure the chat would agree, and you know that as well, because sometimes you pick the opposite side or I pick the opposite side, even though we don't really feel like that. Just to
it's so true too. Obviously I'm kidding. It's very true.
No, I think this looks good. I think the way the colours have been selected makes the transition really nice, and it's not too pale at the top that the legends don't match, and you have to go with a different colour for the legends. It's been done in a way so that the scaling of the gradient is even throughout, and it means that the text is legible across all of the different layers as well. In terms of the kits, well, as we said before, it's cat MOQ is conducted entirely differently with cat and cam, so that gives you the opportunity to have all of these different kits. So lots of support for everything. Unusually, we even see cold rack support here as well, which is really nice to see as well. Users of pretty much anything can get what they need. It's really good,
which is awesome. I did take a look at the price beforehand, and you can outfit most standard layouts for about $100. If you're a 40% user, it's going to cost you even less, which is kind of cool. It'll cost you around $80 to outfit a lot of 40% boards. And then, like Jay mentioned, there's compatibility for pretty much everything that you could possibly want, because Cat does MOQs per key instead of per kit. So you can get away with all kinds of ridiculous stuff like this, and it's totally fine. Novelties, I think, are pretty successful. I don't really understand a lot of them, but I think they look pretty darn good. Desk mat, I think, looks freaking amazing as well. And just get down to it here. Desk mat, fantastic. Love the way that looks. And there's also going to be some Salvin metal artisans there, which is pretty nice. I think those are pretty delectable looking as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that doesn't look good in this set. I think it all looks really nice. I'm very, very tempted, even if I don't buy the set, to just pick up the desk mat, because I think that looks great. I really like that. It looks fantastic. Really nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Does that mean the GMK reprieve is over? Are we back to GMK sets now?
Yeah. I had to give you just a small break, but we're back to GMK. But I'm pretty excited about this one. So this is the group buy for GMK Terra. This is by the designer Ren Suya, who you might remember from GMK Mizu. So if you guys weren't aware, he's kind of doing this Avatar element kind of theme with his sets. If you guys are familiar with the series Avatar: The Last Airbender, this is kind of where this comes from. He's already ran at GMK Mizu, which was the water element. Now he's doing GMK Terra, which is the earth element, and presumably we're still going to have the two more elements to go, fire and air. So pretty successful looking set here. It is going to be up on Dixie Mech as well as other proxies. Base kit looks pretty darn nice. You have a lot of compatibility here, including ISO and numpad, and not UK ISO, unfortunately, but you do have basic ISO support, as well as a couple accent keys there as well.
I will say it's basic ISO support done the right way as well, the most accepted way. I think the base kit looks fine. I have got one issue with it I'll come on to in a second. But in terms of the compatibility, you can't argue for anything else. There's pretty much everything that you could possibly want in there. I do think the green is really, really nice for the alphas. I think that works really, really well. It's such a nice shade of green. I hope that the set matches that perfectly, because it is so lovely. One of my slight... I say I have a complaint about it. It's just a slight one. You have the three different options for the escape. You have the black escape with the green legend. You then have a grey escape, and you also have like the creamy beige colour escape as well. You've got the same for the ANSI enter, but you've only got the two choices for the ISO one, and I think the grey is the nicer of the three. So I'm slightly disappointed that there's no grey ISO enter in the base kit, but other than that, it is what it is. In terms of the other kits, you've got the novelties kit as well as the Spacebar kit 2. I think the novelties look pretty good. Now, I'm not a fan of, as I said before, of all this kind of, these animations and things like that. So I don't get a lot of the source material, so I probably wouldn't buy the novelties based on that. The same as I didn't buy the novelties for Mizu, I just got the base kit for that. I think these keycaps look really nice. What I do really like, and I don't know what it signifies or what it means, is kind of like the grey. I don't know, it's like a triangle shape with a swirl and what looks like fingers on. So I have no idea what that means or stands for.
I think
really like that symbol.
Yeah, I have seen the show a couple times, but it has been a while. I think that's just kind of like the earth element. It's like the earth bending element, basically. So the idea in the show is there are people that are what are known as benders, and they basically can control a specific element. In this case, this is earth.
Right.
So yeah, so I think that's kind of like their symbol for that. But someone in chat can correct me, of course, if it's not. Novelties, though, I think are pretty successful. Nice spacebar kit there as well. Desmat, not overly complicated. Perfect. I love seeing that kind of stuff. It looks good. Both of them, in fact, pretty good. The Rama caps, pretty darn nice. Here's a couple nicer renders here for you guys as well. And one thing that's also pretty cool about this is for the kit breakdown, there is going to be... Wait, let me make sure I'm getting this right. Where's the... Is there supposed to be a katakana kit in this?
I don't think so.
There is in the renders. Why is it not listed under the kits?
Don't know.
Maybe someone can correct me on that, because in the kit breakdown here on this picture, it shows the katakana set.
It's for sale on my keyboard as well as the katakana set as well.
Why is it not listed here?
Don't know. There's also the obscure kit as well, which is shown.
Apparently they're not.
There you go.
But it says kits no longer being offered. Did they stop the group buy for this part? Interesting.
It doesn't say that. Dixie, read the comment from Ren at the bottom. We've seen very low numbers of katakana and obscure kits being ordered. At this point, these kits will obviously not come close to MOQ at this rate. We'll be dropping the spot. Okay, it seems very early to make that decision, but sure.
This is rough because when I added this to the news doc, I'm almost positive the katakana kit was in there, so now I just look like a complete moron. What I was going to say is because the katakana kit also had the second tab key in it, as well as the katakana numro, you were actually going to be able, and I'll bring it up here since they actually still have it pictured here, you were going to be able to cover two boards with a base kit and the katakana kit, which we're seeing a little bit more of these days, and I like seeing that because for around like $200-ish, you can fill out two boards that are even larger than 40%, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we've seen it on two sets that we talked about earlier on today as well. So yeah,
it's kind of a bummer they're no longer doing that. So that's a bummer. But I do like the set. Otherwise, I do like Rensui's designs, and I do like the Avatar series. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel a bit indifferent about culling the sets so early. So I mean, one side of me says it's a couple of days in. I think this one started on the 4th of the month, so it's only 4 days in for 3 days in, 4 days in for me because it's the 8th here now. But the second side of me says that if you've only sold 3 after day 1, which is usually one of the biggest days, I kind of get it. It just Yeah, but, I don't know what the right answer is, but I feel like it's a bit ruthless to just do it after a couple of days.
Obviously we're not vendors. I am not a vendor. I have never ran, any kind of group buy. But what's why kill it now than rather have it fail later? Like, is there a reason? Because why not just run this out and see if it does make it? And if it doesn't, then it doesn't matter anyways, right?
So I suspect it's because of people who pay by PayPal, you have to do the refund, and the vendors lose the cash on that. So they'd probably rather cancel 5 sets now, or what is it, 5, 6, 8 sets now. They'd probably cancel 8 kits now than cancel, I don't know, 75 kits later on at the end of group buy and lose a couple of dollars per transaction. It makes sense. I get it. I do get it. I just. Yeah. I'm kind of not sure how I feel about it, but I understand the technical reasons why. The other side of it as well is if you were buying this and you had to have the obscure kit and you'd sold 60 of them and you hadn't got close to MOQ, you weren't going to buy it out, would you lose 60 base kit orders at that point because people have to have that kit to make their compatibility, which is one of the other downtown sides of splitting kits out, right? Because, for example, I know for me, if that obscure kit was the ISO kit and it got right up to the end of group buy and Dixie told me, oh, sorry, the ISO kit's not going to get made, well, I'd say, well, the base kit's useless to me then, there's no point in me buying it. So that would be me completely out. And whilst it might only be 20% of users that use ISO, or whatever it is, that could have a big impact. If it's 20% of sets that just back out immediately at the end, it could have a big impact on whether you hit MOQ or not, or whatever else. So,
those are certainly good reasons. I actually completely forgot that PayPal now wrecks vendors. They just completely wreck vendors on refunds now. So. Very, very unfortunate. But otherwise, a very nice looking set, and it does have a pretty rich base kit, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I think the base kit's alright. I'd say my only complaint about the base kit, because I do love green sets, and I think, as I said before in the show, there isn't enough green sets. I just want that damn grey ISO enter, because I think it's the nicest of the three enter keys, but it's not there. So.
Yeah, certainly. All right, cool, very nice. Well, let's move on, continuing this GMK train to my favorite set of the month. This is the group buy for GMK Yugo, and this is live until December 18th.
I do feel like this set needs a little bit of love, because I don't think it's getting enough in the community.
Oh, I imagine it's struggling. but man, I think it's a pretty awesome set.
I think this set is amazing. It does things that other sets haven't done before. It changes conceptions around what's the right layout to use in the community and what's not, and it's trying to bring a lot of non-conformity to the community as well. So it's trying to with a fun, playful element as well, picking up on you know, the car that it's named after. So for those that you don't know, we covered in this interest check a couple of weeks ago. This is GMK Yugo. It's named after a car that was produced back in. I think it's still being produced actually, which has been often cited as being the worst car ever made. And of course, we like to celebrate things like that around the world. You know, well, what's the worst? You've got the Razzie Award for the films and all that kind of stuff. So that's why this has come to fruition from here. Interestingly, it uses you know, Yugoslavia accent keys. So sorry, Yugoslavian legends across the whole set, which does mean that because it's Yugoslavian, it's an ISO layout because it's an EU country, or it was, and that's why it fits into this. So the base kit is predominantly based around the ISO layout for the Yugoslavian language, which is why you have the Quartz top row, and then also you have other umlauted and accent keys, which are regional variants, and it's why the base kit is with split left shift and the ISO enter as well. That being said, you can cover an ANSI board with the base kit. You can put the tab key in there, although it's not tab, it's got the unlotted Z in there. You've got the ANSI accents, and you've also got the full right shift as well. So you can kit out an ANSI board and pay homage to the
and oh boy, do I plan to, Jay.
Of course, right? Because why wouldn't you? Well, you know, it's a great idea. It's different.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at the kit breakdown real quick. So there's going to be that's the base kit that we were just talking about there, and I was showing. There's going to be the Yugo 55 kit, which is going to be your numpad and things of that nature. There's going to be the Capitalism kit, which is very aptly named, which does help you a lot to get into the actual full ANSI on Z mode. That way you have quote unquote, you know, proper legends.
To be clear, it basically brings it back to US and UK English. That's what that kit does. Yeah. It gives you all of the keys necessary to take you from Yugoslavian language back into English, whether you want the UK or the US variant of such. Which, of course, the language is the same, but we've got slightly different keys to represent that. So that's what the Capitalism kit does. But it doesn't take away from the fact that still in the base kit you can cover your board. It doesn't matter. So, you know, whether you'd want that secondary kit or not to give yourself the correct legends, or whether you want to pay homage to the actual Yugoslavian language which the set's designed for, you can do both with the base kit or the Capitalism kit added on as well.
Yeah.
What about the other kits, Brian? Tell us about the other ones.
So there's also the Zastava kit, which is kind of the YU Cyrillic kit here. Which gives you a little bit more of that Cyrillic mono legend compatibility. There is the Cabrio kit, which is going to be your spacebar kit, a couple accents in there, and of course the Alice-esque B. And there's going to be an Artisan by Salvoon. And this one really, really interested me, because when I opened this picture, I thought to myself, hey, that doesn't look like a normal GMK keycap sculpt. And then I scrolled down a little bit to the renders that have it pictured. There's one close up here, thankfully, and lo and behold, it's not. This is a totally different shape of GMK sculpt, which I thought was really ambitious, at the very least.
I think the sculpt's fine. I think Salvin's a very talented individual. He can do that. And as far as I'm aware, it's based on or trying to emulate the shape of the car's badge, which is where that comes from, which is quite interesting. So, yeah, really like to see it. Yeah,
I think it's great. It fits with the theme. It's risky, right? Because it's no longer like a GMK profile cap at that point. And some people, you know, might get a little OCD that they don't have the correct profile cap on that. I'm using air quotes here if you can't see. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think this might be the first time we've seen a non-standard profile cap as an artisan to go along with a set that it's themed after.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It's very cool. I mean, just like in America, I think capitalism is the worst part of this entire set, which is why I will not even be buying the capitalism kit as an ANSI user. I specifically want this base kit the way it is, and I am so excited for this.
Yeah, let's break cultural barriers. Let's do something different. Let's people have been buying Korean legends and Hiragana legends and Katakana legends, and we had the Greek legend, the add-on kit that came out last week. I think we've got another Greek set we're going to talk about. So why not Yugoslavian?
Exactly. We very actively support so many cultures in this community. Why not this one?
Yeah, exactly, right. Someone also in chat, I missed the name, but they did ask if it supports US ISO. Yes, it does support US ISO. It's a second kit. If you get the capitalism kit, you can support US ISO with the correct legends. Yes, you can. Why you would, I don't know, but you can.
For that one US ISO user that we have in the world.
Yeah. He knows who he is. You can do that. But I think, for me, if I'm going to buy this, and full disclosure, I am, I'm just going to buy the base kit because I don't need the UK language keys for this particular one. The layout will fit on my keyboard because it offers both ANSI and ISO, and as an ISO user, it will cover my board. But I want to embrace the fact that this set's designed around a different language and use that, irrespective of whatever language my computer's expecting it to be and whether the legends match up. I want to support this set by using it as the set was intended. I think I can see why people would want the capitalism kit, but it feels like the right thing to do here if you're going to buy this is to use that. The other thing I wanted to shout out as well, I don't know if this has changed, I think it hasn't, but if you look at the spacebar kit as well, one thing you might be able to discern is that the spacebars have got a slight bit of an accent to them, which when I was last talking to Amir about this is actually going to be in the kit itself. So the spacebar actually has a line that runs along one edge and up one side of it as well, and that is going to be in the space bars too. So as from what I understand, and you can actually see that right on one of the top renders. So you can see a couple of renders as well. So the space bars are going to have that series of lines that the Yugo had down them as well. I'm not sure how that's going to be done. I think it's going to be pad printed, but on the front of the keycap, it should be just fine.
Yeah, very interesting. Stoked for this.
So
look at this desk mat too. This desk mat is absurd.
Oh yeah,
but it's absurd in a good way. Because where you're going to be placing things, you still get a lot of the effect of the desk mat. So I definitely
Did you have one of these little these mats when you were a kid to run toy cars around? I think everyone did, right?
I did.
It's even got a little car park on it. Why would you not want it? Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's just a really well thought out and well loved by its designers set. They've clearly gone to town in terms of the actual thought process that's gone into it. It's not something that's just been put together for the meme or because it's ISO or whatever else you want to call it. This actually has a lot of thought gone into it. It has a lot of meaning behind it. People actually care about this set, and that's why we've seen new things like the accented spacebar that I don't think we've seen that from GMK set before. We've seen a lot of pad printed sets, Royal Alpha for example, but we've never seen a pad printed front spacebar before. So not from GMK anyway. So it's really nice to see that. Yeah, I really like this.
Yep, fantastic. I can't wait to buy this. It's open till December 18th, so you still have quite a bit of time. And I remember they were talking about trying to do this toy car with it too. Do we know anything about that? Did that ever happen?
It's still in progress. I think they're trying to find a source for the actual Yugo as a toy car, even though it was one of the most popular cars in the EU at one point, because it was so cheap. I don't think anyone's ever actually made a toy of it, or if they have, I think they're struggling to find one. But I'm sure that will come out closer to the time. But that'd be
pretty
if they can do it, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd like it. Maybe even just chuck some stickers in there with the car, and that'd be great as well.
That could be pretty fun. Anyways, we're losing point of our lightning round here, so let's move on. That's open right now. Go buy it if you want to support that kind of thing. I definitely like it a lot.
Cool, excellent. Okay, so moving on then, folks, we've actually got 2 key sets in one for the next one that we're going to talk about. This is the group buy for HSA, which is half SA. For those of you who haven't seen half SA, I've covered it twice on my build streams. I actually have the prototype full set on a board here. So this is on my Nightmare. So this is the prototype HSA set. It is as shiny as it looks in the camera. So where you can see the reflections and everything on the keycaps, it is that shiny in real life. I'm going to be sending this set to Brian to have a play with as well, so he can give his thoughts on it in the next couple of weeks too. But yeah, so half SA, it's broadly the height of GMK keycaps. I have taken some pictures and shared those before in the Top Clack Discord, so if you can search images by me, you'll probably find them, and search HSO, you'll see it. In terms of the kits, there's actually 2 key sets that are available here. One is available through Novel Keys in the US, the other one's available through Dixie in the US. Both are available through MyKeyboard.eu and various other vendors as well. But effectively, you've got the 2 sets. You've got white on black, which we've seen before. You know, we've seen GMK white on black. We talked about the Infinikey one earlier on today as well. Really classic standard set, white on black. Can't go wrong with it. Really classic looking set. The other one we've got as well is beige on brown, so B on B. I think this is the nicer of the 2, if I'm honest, but that's just for me. But effectively, this is kind of like inspired by those vintage boards that we've seen where the keycaps have gone a little bit yellowy, a bit of a change over time and stuff like that, and it's beige on brown, a little bit more of a classic vintage look. In terms of the base kits as well, you'll notice that they're quite fully kitted out. There's quite a lot in there in terms of key compatibility. For round 1, which is there is no ISO compatibility and there's no split spacebar compatibility, but some of those keys are coming in future rounds, especially the ISO support that will be available in future rounds as well. This is pretty much just to get JTK up and running the group buys with these keycaps. And it also comes in a JTK keycap tray as well, so these are new trays that are quite hard and not quite so flimsy as, say, the GMK ones, which are quite nice too. In terms of price, $75, 75 euros.
Let's talk about that price for a second, because per key, that is really, really good.
Yeah,
really, really, really good. So I am really excited to check these out, and hopefully they are as fantastic as they look, because $75 for a key set, like, and it's actually good, bring it on. Bring on more.
Yeah.
And also, I totally agree with you on the colorways. I think the black and white is very nice and it's fine, but it's whatever. The beige on brown, I feel like, oof, that is a classy set.
It's nice, right?
I feel like Sean Connery would use this set
whilst drinking his scotch and smoking his cigar, right?
Yes, yeah. And that's what I want to be like.
Not that we condone either drinking or smoking, but you know, you do what you do, guys.
Yes,
you know?
Yes. Follow your regional laws and enjoy things responsibly. Top Clack disclaimer.
And just to be clear, it is that shiny, guys. A lot of you don't like shine key sets, but when you look at the renders and they're shiny, that's because it is that shiny. I'm not sure that's coming across on camera particularly well, but it is super duper shiny. Go check out the build stream where we covered this last week, the Nightmare build stream on YouTube, to have a look at that. The other thing I want to say as well is that traditionally SA caps have a bit of a unique sound to them because of the size of the inside of the keycap, and sound resonates through them really weirdly. One of the things I was really surprised about with these keycaps is just how damn good they sound on a board. So we tried it out on both the Nightmare and on a TMO, a polycarbonate TMO, polycarbonate E6.5, and the sound is actually nicer than GMK caps in my opinion. And this has revised my love for SA profile. So I don't tend to use SA profile anymore because I find it too high, too tall. But this keycap set might just overtake Cat for me in terms of second place after Cherry profile.
What? All right. Yeah. Well, since you actually have a set in hand, how do you feel about anything wrong with this key set? Is there anything that you didn't like? Any kind of issues or problems that occurred?
So there was a couple of things because it's a prototype set. So this was the first full set run off the production line. There's a couple of legend inconsistencies. Some are a little bit thicker, some are a little bit thinner. That is already in the process of being fixed. There's also a couple of issues with sprue marks and sprues not being completely trimmed off. But again, it's a prototype set, so you know that's all feedback I've been given. So I've got a list of stuff that I've actually sent over to Necroman and Necroman behind MyKeyboard.eu, David and Yulia, around where I've spotted the legend inconsistencies, is just to make sure that what they've seen, I've seen, and we've both correlated each other's, and we've not missed anything. So I've been giving that feedback, and I've got like a notepad document full of all sorts of stuff to send over to them. There's also a couple of bits and pieces with kerning. I'd show you here, but you're not going to be able to see in the small camera. But you can see that there's a little bit of kerning difference between the Alt key and the right key there, and the thickness. It might be just visible that one's thicker than the other. I don't know. But you can see that the right key's got slightly different kerning. But this is all feedback that's gone in. That's all been tweaked and changed. So yeah, excited to see what the actual production version looks like, because they have promised that they will fix those before it gets into production. So,
yeah, and that's the hope too, because the set looks amazing, the compatibility is great, the price is great. The only X factor here is JTK themselves. They've had a pretty checkered past when it comes to manufacturing keycaps. Lots of issues, lots of delays on lots of their cherry profile stuff, but obviously this is a brand new thing. So, hopefully they can just really get their stuff together and crank out something awesome here, because if this was a good key set and it's $75, just like, where do I sign? Like, just sign me up.
Honestly, yeah. As soon as there's a version of this kit out that I can use with ISO, I will be buying whatever's available. I hope that so I don't know why Necroman chose this purple, but he did. But I hope that this actually runs, because it is genuinely a really nice purple. And I also hope that the beige and brown reruns with the ISO keycaps, or that they do an add-on pack so I can pick it all up, because I desperately want a full version of this. It sounds really good. It feels really good. That shine that people don't say they don't like. I don't like rough textured keycaps. My big problem with DSS was the fact that it was really rough, or even though I like the sculpt, and I think that sculpt's got a lot of potential. I think this is much nicer. It's very smooth and shiny, but it's still grippy at the same time. Your fingers don't slide around on it. It's really nice to use and type on it.
It sounds kind of similar to the Cam Starry Night key set that I recently checked out and wrote an article for on TopClack.com. That was also an outrageously, unnecessarily shiny key set, particularly for being PBT. So, maybe we're moving more towards shine. People are starting to accept the shine.
I think it looks great. The shine looks great on these. If you go back and watch the stream, guys, where we put this on, even if you just watch that 5 minutes where I was showing off how it shines, it is really, really nice in a non-sarcastic way. And also just a big shout out to My Keyboard's new logo as well, because I think their new logo looks great. So well done, guys, on that too.
Fantastic. All right, let's move away from key sets for now, and let's talk about some other things that have been going on in the community. So we're done with the GMK sets for today, Jay. Relax. You can have a sip of your coffee and just lay back, and we can talk about something else for once. So
excellent.
This is pretty interesting. So these are new stems for linear switches. These are by Invyr, and they are UHMWPE linear stems, which stands for ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. So yes. This has been a plastic chosen because it has a ridiculously low coefficient of friction. It's supposed to be outrageously smooth. It's also, if I'm not mistaken, the most resistant to impact. It has the highest impact strength of any thermoplastic currently made. So
interesting.
Very strong. Not that you necessarily need your switch stems to be strong, but it's a nice feature nonetheless. So it's going to be 110 pack for $30, and these are made by B-Sun. I did confirm that with him before the show today. We also do have a pack of these on the way. He made sure he was going to send me one of those as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm a little curious about this, though, because Palm, what we use for pretty much every stem and every switch ever made, also has a very low coefficient of friction. It's also very smooth. They are both kind of touted as self-lubricating plastics. And I'm really interested to see how much of a difference this actually makes, because in my mind, I feel like it won't be very noticeable. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy here. I'm not trying to be dark. I like Ziz, I like Invyr. I'm looking forward to trying these. But I feel like it's not going to be a very big difference. What do you think, though?
Yeah, I'm skeptical until I try it. Now, I know you've got some of these coming. I went and bought some of these as well, so I've got some coming too. I'm interested to try them out. I want to get them on stream. I want to do a build with them and just see. What I might do is I might do actually where one half the board is one and one half the board is the other in terms of a POM versus the UHMWPE stems, and just see if I can tell a difference between one hand typing and the other hand typing, and see how that works, because I'm really interested to try. I think it's great to see new things, and new things should be tried, and I absolutely want to try that out and see it. As to whether the difference will be there, it's debatable, and I'll reserve judgment until I've tried it. But yeah, my gut feel is that it's probably not going to be that different. But until I've tried it, I can't confirm either way. I will say they do look very slippery in the pictures, though. These are unlubed in the pictures. They do look very shiny and very slippery. So I'm hoping that translates to a smoother stem. And if it does mean that we can have switches that don't require lube anymore, especially if you're not too fussy with that kind of thing, then that's a great change for the community.
Yeah, which is interesting that you mentioned that, because he does still say in the additional notes here that the need of additional lubricant is debatable, but should you choose to lube your switches, I would recommend Tribassist 3203. So I don't think this is really going to solve any kind of smoothness issues, really. I think people are still going to gravitate towards lubing, if nothing more than sound reasons. So, you know, sure. I think the acoustics of a lubed switch tend to be better. A properly lubed switch. Like, don't get me wrong here. A properly lubed switch.
Sorry, Baron. But...
Wow.
Yeah, he knows that I disdain for his lubing of the switches. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Anyway, yeah, I feel a lot of people over lube, but anyways, that's besides the point. But we've had pretty smooth switches for a while now. Like, we have switches that are, you know, almost imperceivably unsmooth. Sorry, they're so smooth that, you know, we don't need lube, obviously, but obviously a lot of us still choose to lube. Things like Telios, things like the Gateron ink switches. These are like really, really smooth switches, guys. Like, it's interesting to think of that. You know, people still want to swap out parts to try to make it even smoother. Lubing aside. So, I don't know. I'm really interested to try these out. These should fit in pretty much any MX switch. So, I don't know. You guys will have to... I'll probably do some kind of build stream with them when they come in, and we can put some switches together, and maybe you guys can help me choose what kind of housings and springs and stuff to use. For sure, I'm going to try these unlubed first, because that's just how I like to do things. So, we can actually get a good baseline of how smooth something like this is compared to a more traditional palm stem.
Yeah, I think what we should probably try and do is work out what we've got between us, Brian, and try and do different things. And, you know, maybe one of us try them out in, say, clear housings, like Zeal housings, that kind of thing. Others try them out with maybe cream housings or whatever. You know, we can start to have a think about them. Try them out in different things, because I am interested to see what these actually feel like and stuff as well. So I think we could both have some upcoming segments on what these could be like when they come in.
Yeah, it's always just kind of interesting to me, because, like, I've been lubing switches for years. Like, I found so many combinations that, to me, I have no perception of roughness, of sandiness. What can you do beyond having no perceivable friction? Like, how much farther can you actually go? What is it supposed to feel like once you've crossed that sub-zero no friction point?
I think for me, it's actually taking it back to, do we need to lube anymore? I think that's where the beauty of trying new stuff is. Can we get to a point where people are so comfortable with switches that they don't need to lube anymore? Whether that's because they're not quite as sensitive as others, or because they don't feel like they need to do it from a sound perspective. Because I have to be honest, you know, the JO2 that I built earlier a couple of weeks ago, that's got completely untouched stock inks in, and it sounds fantastic. And everyone agreed at the leads me up that it actually sounds better than lube switches. So, you know, it's interesting how different boards can affect that as well. But I think the aim here is to try and move away from where everyone feels like they have to, you know, take a switch apart, lube it in different places and parts, put it all back together, and spend that time doing it. Whereas this might be, you know, an opportunity to forego that step and to just switch out your stems, because you want a stem that offers a different kind of characteristic or profile. And you never know; these might sound so different without lube that they sound better to you than a standard POM stem with lube, Brian, as well. That's the other thing to consider. That might do that. We don't know how they're going to sound until we try them, right?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So we'll update you, of course, once we have those in hand and we can do a little bit of testing with them. Yeah. Until then, let's move on to our next topic, which is the C3 Equalz screw-in stabilizers. So Just a little bit of a preface here. I think a lot of people have been having issues in the community lately with the more recent batches of GMK stabilizers in particular. People have been complaining about a lot of issues, and it's kind of a bummer because as far as stabilizers are concerned, we really don't have that many options. The design is pretty much the same no matter which versions you buy. It's the same technology that we've been using for like 5 or 6 decades now, just like our switch technology with the metal contact leads. This isn't like a new thing. And I think it's about time we start trying new things with stabilizers because I feel like they're often really overlooked and it's kind of a bummer. But when you get that really like properly smooth and like perfectly sounding stabilized key like Clack on the bottom out, I think that's like a thing of beauty in a keyboard. And it's hard to consistently achieve that even with things like GMK screw-in stabilizers, which have for a while been very nice until pretty recently, presumably. But I think there just aren't enough people trying to mess with stabilizers, and that's kind of a problem. And hopefully this is a step towards the right direction.
Yeah, I'd kind of agree, and we've been using cherry stabilizers for years. Whether you've been buying cherry clip-ins or buying GMK screw-ins, they're all cherry stabilizers. We've been clipping them for years because it feels better and sounds better. We've been lubing them for years because it's the only way to get them to feel good. And even and I'm sure you'll agree, but even when you get a stabilizer perfectly tuned, you'll use that board for 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden the spacebar sounds crap again because it wears out over time and it changes. So I think any changes and anyone looking at the whole stabilizer situation is a good thing. I know we've been waiting on Rama stabs for a while now, probably 12 months since we first saw those. We've tried a lot of different mods, from heat shrink to different lubes to different styles of lube and all of that kind of stuff as well, to lubing different places and portions too. I think what we're seeing now is people starting to try and tweak the designs. We've had Zeal stabilizers out for a couple of years now. We saw some EPBT ones a little while back. We've got the Everglide ones as well, which I got in today, which are starting to see more prominence in the community now that we know that the GMK and the Cherry stabilizers, which are all made in the same manufacturer, by the way, they're all made by Cherry, aren't quite what they used to be. It's interesting to see how things like that are changing and how we're moving into to new statuses. I think these look really interesting. I think the biggest interest thing for me on this one is, and we've already talked about different types of plastic, is self-lubricating plastics. These are POM.
Yeah, which is cool. As we know, a lot of us really love POM just because of that kind of self-lubricating smooth nature. Very, very nice. A couple other quick specs here. It does come in a variety of colors. So you're going to have red option, blue, orange, teal, pink, and purple. So quite a variety there. And these are actually, I think, a little bit cheaper than GMK stabilizers as well. So this is a kit for $10, and $10 is going to get you 4 2Us. It's going to get you a 6.25U as well as the 7U wire, so you can have your choice between the 2 spacebars without having to buy 2 of them. It's going to come with, of course, the screws, a set of washers, which is pretty cool, as well as an Allen key to actually screw them in. I mean, obviously, we'll probably, if you're buying these, you probably have a screwdriver to screw these in. But in case you don't, it does come with the Allen key, which is a nice touch as well. So that's pretty cool. Also, pre-clipped stems. So we're going to take a look at the bottom here in this picture.
I'm being a pedant here, but I do hate that terminology, pre-clipped. They're molded without the bits needed to be clipped off. They're not actually clipped, guys. But no one sat there going through and clipping all these before they ship them. They're just molded.
Pre-clipped is just the fastest way to tell people that already know about Cherry stabilized design.
The pedant in me dislikes it.
It's dumb.
I appreciate what they're trying to say.
It's just like I know a lot of people advocating for this a while. It's retooled blacks. People calling them retooled blacks when they've been retooled for like a couple years now. They're still just Cherry MX blacks, just like Cherry designates them Cherry MX blacks. They don't know them as retooled blacks. That's a community term for us, just like quote unquote vintage. So our community is like a cacophony of like awful terminology and so many unofficial phrases. It's awful. It's truly bad. But regardless, these do not have those additional, I'm going to call them dampening legs, because I think they're supposed to soften the blow when you hit the PCB.
Yes.
A lot,
which they don't do.
Yeah. If you're a little bit newer to the show, maybe you're a little bit newer to the keyboard community, and you're wondering why this is actually different. So over here on the right is a genuine cherry or cherry stabilizer, and this left is the new one here. As you can see, the red circles here indicate the legs that are both present over here and not present over here. The idea is these actually protrude. You can't really see it in this picture, but they protrude downward. In this picture, it'd be upward, more towards your PCB, and it actually helps to soften the blow. They're very pliable, so they soften the blow when you actually bottom out on the PCB. A lot of users choose to clip those off because it actually gives you kind of a mushy feeling when you bottom out because of that impact. It's better for the PCB, arguably, but a lot of people like to clip those off with some flush cutters or something, and you're left without those, which is going to hit the PCB harder, but it's going to give you a lot more natural of a feel. It's not going to feel like something's impeding you when you reach the bottom of your press.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a couple of things on these as well. I'm interested to see how the material holds up because these new ones are POM. The housings do look like they've got so the tolerance is a lot tighter. It looks a lot tighter around how the stem's held into the housing compared to cherry style stabilizers. So it'd be interesting to see those as well. Full disclosure, I've actually bought a couple of sets of these. So I'm going to get some from the EU vendor, the Proxy. I've also bought some straight directly from Tau. I've bought one of every color from Tau, and also Jason from the Key Company has kindly said that he's going to send us some as well. So now it's just a race to see whichever ones get to either Brian or I first, and we can try these out and see what happens. But I just wanted to make sure we got them as quickly as possible, like the Zisps UHMWPE or whatever it was. Stems. So Brian, I think Brian was cheeky and asked for some freebies. I paid for mine.
I have no shame. If the worst they could say is no, so I'll pretty much ask for review samples of like most, at least minor products like stabilizers, springs, switches, and things of that nature.
I just usually buy it because it's usually people tell me maybe I'm more disliked.
I'm used to having no money, so I'm just like, can I try these? And people are like, yeah, sure.
I'm just used to people saying no, buy it, and so
that's what people should say to me, but thankfully they're nice and they let me try things out.
Yeah, maybe.
No shame.
So we will have some of these soon. The EU proxy is going to be mykeyboard.eu. You can also get them on Ilum KB and the key.company in the US. So those are the proxies as well. I think if you look at the prices, they're very, very different across the three, and they're significantly cheaper in Asia. But by the time you factored in shipping across to the Western world, that's why the price is slightly different. There is a little bit of a difference in price, but that's just from there. Zemus has just come in with who's selling the Invyr linear stems. So it's the Keyboard Treehouse, which is Zisp's web store. So I did share the link in chat. I'll grab that for you in just 1 second.
Yep, and we do have a Q&A coming up very shortly as well. So if you guys have questions for us, you can save them for that, please. All right, why don't you tell us about our last topic of the news doc, Jay?
Yeah, so the last topic of the news, just give me 1 second, I'll grab one of these, is that you might recall that a few weeks ago we had a really, really special unboxing as part of the mail call that we do at the beginning of the show, and that was because the International Kit, which is one of our other community creators, they create a podcast every couple of weeks, they sent me one of their International Kit GMK double shot ISO enter keys, which was really, really kind of them. They are EU based themselves, so they do both use ISO, Egler, and Querdenker. They're very good friends of mine. They sent me one of these unboxed live on stream. I didn't even know they were making these until I unboxed it, but I've been really, really happy with it. It's fantastic, and there were quite a few of these that they gave away at the recent meetups across the EU as well. But now what they're doing is they're opening this up to people to buy. So, and I think there's sold 75% of them already, so there's very few left if you are interested. But if you want to buy an International Kit ISO enter, if you want to support the International Kit podcast, if you want to buy an ISO enter, maybe you bought one of those ISO macro pads if you're not an ISO user, this could be the key for you. It's really cool. It's GMK, it's double shot, it's really nice. It's got their logo on it. It's €9 including untracked shipping, so it's dirt cheap. They've got a form and everything else that you can fill out for it on their website. And yeah, they're going to ship them. I think the group is open until the end of November, and then they're going to ship them hopefully by the end of this year. So it should be on the way to people soon.
Very nice. Obviously, Queerdenker, one of the hosts of the International Kit, was a guest host for us on Top Clack last month on the episode of the 10th, if I remember correctly. And he's a wonderful guy. He did a great job, and we definitely support the things that they do. There are a lot of amazing content creators in the community. It's not just us. So, if you wanna go ahead and support them, and you wanna pick up a sweet cap while you do it, this is a good option. It'll go amazingly on one of those. What's the ISO macro pad called?
The ISO, that's what it's called. That's what I just said. Yeah,
it's just called the ISO. Oh, I thought there was another name for it, wasn't it? Wasn't it called something else?
There was the one that Canon Keys was going to run before, which didn't make MOQ sadly. Which was that called the Isolation or something?
Was it the Isotope Any?
Oh, the Isotope. Yeah, the Isotope. Any Isotope.
That's such a good name.
Yeah. So that one sadly didn't make it, but the ISO macropad did make it, which was the one done by Simon and Pona and a few other people as well, which is really good. So I actually bought 2 of those ISO macro pads, and because Queerdenker and Egg were kind enough to send me one, and they actually sent it in a jewelry box as well. This is how I got it, guys, in a jewelry box, which was really nice. I've actually bought another one so I can have one on both of my ISO macro pads. So I can have an ISO key on my ISO key on my ISO macro pad. So ISO Inception.
Wow.
Iception. There's a name there, I'm sure.
That there is definitely a beam there. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. So we're gonna briefly talk about our sponsors real quick before we move on to the Q&A. But speaking of the Q&A, now's a great time to start getting questions in for us. If you'd like to ask us something, you can use the @TopClack tag so we can see it a lot easier. It helps us out a ton. So please use that if you do want to ask a question.
Yeah, start tagging us now, guys.
Yep.
Okay, so first up, Brian, who have we got?
First up, we have ZealPC.net, aka Zeal Generation. You can find over at ZealPC.net/TopClack. That's going to give us the affiliate link, and it's going to help us out a ton. It's not going to cost you anything extra, of course, but it does help us out a lot. So he does have his normal array of switches in stock as usual. So he has the Zelios V2, the Xylence V2, the Telios V2, and the Helios V2, and other combinations thereof, and they are absolutely fantastic. Zelio V2 still today one of my favorite switches of all time. Absolutely love them, and they're all fantastically smooth and awesome. So make sure to pick some of those up if you're looking for some new switches, because they're pretty gosh darn awesome.
Nice. Okay, if key sets and keycaps and other paraphernalia are more up your street, you might want to check out Novel Keys. So Mike and gang run the store over there. This week they've got GMK Analog Dreams. That's in group buy at the moment. So if you want to support that set, we talked about it earlier on the show, you can pick that up. They've also got another set we talked about today, which was HSA white on black. So if you want to try a new profile rather than something that's GMK, and you want to try something that's nice and shiny, you could try picking up a set of the HSA, which is only $75, which is a really great price. If that's not your cup of tea and you want to look at something, maybe it's just an add-on kit, they do have the GMK Greek Beige add-on kit for just $30. You can get the GMK caps, which will turn any of your L9 sets into a Greek-based keycap set, which is really interesting and kind of unique and very different. And of course, they've got the usual whole range of switches, springs, desk mats, wrist rests, and cubic and all sorts of other bits and pieces that you could possibly want. That the guys always sell there. So feel free to go check them out. And if you do want a small discount on anything they have in stock, which means not a group buy, then you can use the code CLACKERS, CLACKERS, for 5% discount as well. So go check them out, guys.
Heck yeah. Next up on the list, we have Input Club over at Kono.store, who has a variety of things going on today. Mostly in terms of the GMK space. They have, I think, 5 GMK group buys going on right now. GMK Umbra. We did check out a lot of these on the show earlier, so you can check out these as well. GMK Umbra right there, $145 base kit. It is quite rich though. There is also GMK Ascii, which is that Ascii themed key set that we checked out earlier. That's starting at $130. They also have GMK. Let me see if I can find it on here. There it is. Except they forgot to update that part. GMK Yugo, which is possibly my set of the year. Just in terms of how much I love the idea behind it. $120 base kit there, very, very nice. And something totally unsuspecting here that a lot of people actually kind of missed is that GMK 9s actually has another pre-order up. So if you missed GMK 9s and you wanted to check it out again, now's a good time to pre-order it. $140 base kit there, not too shabby.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're looking more around the budget end of the market, you might want to check out KBDfans. So KBDfans, run by the lovely Way, they've got a ton of different stuff on at the moment. If you are looking for what they've got in group buy at the moment, they've got SA, Mo, Choco, and Max Key's Virtual War, 2 different SA sets, which both look really, really interesting. One's a green and cream-based set, which is kind of interesting, and black and white base set, which also looks really, really good, and is quite possibly one of the nicest SA sets I've seen running in a long while. If you're looking more for the other end of the market in terms of keyboards, they have a ton of different stuff that's available in terms of kits. You can buy kits for pretty much any size keyboard you could possibly want on here. They always have new stuff coming. KBDfans are doing a huge turn for the community quite over the past couple of years, really killing it in terms of bringing affordable products to market as well. And speaking of affordable, if you are on a budget or if you want something that's not too precious, you can check out their B stock market, which is effectively a second-hand market. There's always a ton of different stuff going on there for really, really cheap prices. There's cases as cheap as $60 on there at the minute, or there was earlier on when I was looking, and you can get usually a bargain in there for a keyboard that might have a couple of scuffs and scrapes, but could be really good for a travel board, a beta board, a first board, something that kids might want to use, but be really high quality at the same time. So do check that out, because you can get some real bargains there as well.
Yep, and last but not least on our sponsor list today, we do have the wonderful The Key Company, who has several things going on right now, including the Molly, which is kind of their flagship product right now. Awesome keyboard replicated from the Apple M0110A. Looks absolutely fantastic, comes in lots of different options, and is quite lovely. They also have a kind of a quick flash sale going on right now with GMK DMG, which is one of my favorite GMK sets. If you missed out on it in the previous group buy, you can pick it up again. Pretty darn attractive price. You can get it for $149, which is about $20 cheaper than the original run. So very, very nice. Wonderful base kit there. Lots of accents and compatibility and novelties in that. And just like we were talking about on the show earlier, they also have the C3 equal stabs in there. You can get those right now. The group buy actually ships relatively soon, November 22nd. So pretty darn quick group buy, and lots of different options to choose from there, very low prices. And they also just recently opened the Clack Cat hoodie group buy, which is pretty awesome. So we've had the shirts around for a little while, I think, but now you can get hoodies if that's more your thing. I think I'm actually going to pick one of these up, if I'm being totally honest.
Nice.
I kind of like the Bongo Cat meme, and this kind of goes along with that. So I'm all for that. So make sure to check that out. They have a few different varieties of that if that is your thing. I like apparel. I like keyboard apparel.
Yeah, I really like the Storm Colored one of those as well. I think that's really, really nice. Yeah, just shipping and import to UK is going to kill it for a keyboard related hoodie for me.
Maybe there's proxies. Maybe there's proxies.
I don't know if there is. I don't know
if there is actually. I think
maybe Rise will hook me up if I ask him that.
I think Clavier's in chat. I think he designed them, right? So he might know if there's proxies.
Oh yeah, Candy Keys. Okay, yeah, there is one on Candy Keys. Maybe I'll still reach out to Rise and see if he wants to be nice.
Yeah, I mean, winter is coming. It's upon us. So I need a new hoodie. I don't actually have a hoodie right now.
I'm just saying, it's kind of like nice if if we can wear our sponsored apparel on stream, especially when it's cold. In my little home office.
To be fair, he did send us a shirt, I think. Right? He sent me a shirt at least.
Yeah, he sent me a shirt a while back. Yeah, he did send me a shirt. Yeah.
So he did send us apparel that we could represent. So it's but a hoodie. No, I could use a hoodie.
I mean, the Key Company is a sponsor. Clavier is a friend. It just feels right that we wear one on stream, right?
I think we're trying to play the influencer card a little too hard here.
Well, I'm just trying to take a leaf out of your book, because I don't usually do it. I usually just buy everything because it's easy that way, and I don't have to have difficult conversations. So I'm just trying to learn from you, Brian. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, tricks of the trade, I suppose. Anyways, let's get back to the Q&A section, guys. We're gonna start out with some of the ones we were tagged with earlier, but please continue to put them in if you need some questions answered by us. Keyboard
I think I've seen. I think I've seen quite a lot of questions come through.
Archduchess starts us off by asking, new Invyr Palm Pandas. Thoughts? New Invyr Palm Pandas. So that's the... I think those launched on Drop recently, right? They're now selling not holy pandas, but just standard Invyr pandas.
Are they Palm though? That seems...
I don't know.
Let me have a look. Let me get this up. Invyr Panda switches featuring Palm ivory coloured houses with black factory luminous. Okay, interesting. So first guess is, are they actually POM housings? That would be my first guess, or is it just a POM top, or is it a POM base, or are they just talking about the stem being POM? I'd have to check for clarity on what they mean by that. Oh, no, this is the white switch housing is made from POM. Interesting. Okay. Interesting if true.
The stem is also presumably made by POM, just like every other stem, basically.
I assume so. Yeah.
Or is this using the new stem, since Invyr's also simultaneously launching that new stem?
Zisp was in chat earlier on. Perhaps he can confirm.
That could be something interesting. I imagine that would have been a note to make by Drop if it were, though. They'd probably mention that somewhere in the post. Either way, that could be pretty cool. So, I mean, the problem with Invyr Pandas originally was because they were supposed to be smooth, but they weren't. They had a lot of other cool characteristics, but the problem was they were really not a smooth switch, and they were supposed to be because they were touted as a fully factory lubed switch that was supposed to be something that you didn't have to tune. That was the entire draw of it. It unfortunately failed pretty hard in that regard, but it did obviously make up for it in terms of doing other things like amplifying the properties of stems. Yeah. Turns out the what was supposed to be a fully tuned linear switch, no fuss switch, didn't do that at all. But it accomplished being a great tactile switch when you put other stems in it. What a weird turn of events for that.
Just one of those things, right? Just one of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am interested to see if these are actually POM.
I have several contacts at Drop. I'm going to reach out to them later tonight, and I'm going to ask if we can get some of these.
Yeah, I was just typing up an email to Kevin. So maybe we reach out to him through the Talk Clack one rather than my personal email.
Well, I'm in their business Slack or whatever. So.
Okay, cool.
I'll hit them up. No big deal. We'll try to get some of these, but hopefully they're better. Hopefully that's a step towards the right direction, because the community still needs a fully tuned switch right out of the box, because we have never had that.
What I will say as well is that those look like actual pictures of switches. So if they've got some samples, it might be good if you could get hold of a couple just to try as well. Yeah.
Yep. We'll see. Okay. We'll see what happens. That'll be cool to check out.
Saturn OG shares our skepticism and says, "Are they actually POM?" We'll find out. We'll ask and find out. Shota IRL says, "Why is Zeal overpriced?" I think there's a lot of misconceptions around Zeal prices. If I'm honest, there's a couple of different ways you can cut it. I'd say overpriced is the wrong terminology. They are more expensive than other switches, but then at the end of the day, Zeal has cultivated those switches himself over time, tweaking with revisions, the molds, and everything else that he looks after them. At the end of the day, value is in the eye of the buyer. So if you don't think they're worthwhile, then don't buy them. If you do think they're worthwhile, then please do. So I'm not going to rise to the way that question was asked, but
that's kind of I feel like that's kind of a bait question, but
it is
also one thing I feel kind of strongly about, and this actually carried over with me a lot from the PC community, because it happens a lot over there. But think about you're building a keyboard, right? You're buying a custom keyboard. You join, I don't know, some nice group where the keyboard's $400 or $500 or $600 or whatever. It's a very nice premium high-end keyboard. You buy that. You're planning to put your favorite GMK set on it that you spent $150 on, and you need to buy, stabilizers for it, and you're out to buy switches. You're trying to find what switches you want to buy on it. Now, let's say it's a 60%. You need 61 switches or 62 switches. You're considering, cherry retool blacks or whatever. You're considering Gaterons. You're considering whatever, Gateron Inks or whatever. 75 cents a switch, whatever. That's a popular switch right now. A lot of people love Gateron Inks. Nobody complains about the price. They're like 75 cents a switch, which is relatively high compared to a lot of other switches. Now, you spent what is this? You spend like $45 or whatever on 60 switches. So that's how much you need for your build. So at the end of the day, this keyboard is going to be like, a $700, $800, $900 keyboard, all said and done, are you really going to complain about $10 or $15 more on switches at that point?
It seems like a misnomer to even consider it.
I'm going to say objectively better switches, too, because Zeal switches, they are expensive, yes. But they're also often a lot better than everything else. And they have been for a while. Zeal kind of has a cornerstone on that, so... It's a weird question. Like, I think people make a way bigger deal out of it than it needs to be.
I do feel the way the question was asked was a little bit baity, and I don't like to try and pay to that. So I think we've been fair on it, and we've given it enough time, if I'm honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
Clavier says talk about the Clack Cat hoodies over at TKC. We have done
we did
extensively. We did. We talked about that.
We just talked about
Whitseller says Cat versus HSA hot take. I really love Cat, but I really enjoyed the HSA set, and I will reserve final judgment until I've used it on a full ISO layout, which is what I'm most comfortable with, which is how I can easily and better review and judge things. But my current hot take is that it might snip number 2 spot from Cat away from me in terms of profiles. And Brian, I'll be interested to get your take when I send this over to you. I'm probably going to ship it to you tomorrow or Saturday, so you should have it next week or the week after.
Yeah, this question will be more interesting for me right now because I haven't tried HSA yet, but I really, really, really love Cat profile. Easily my second favorite profile by a landslide.
Yeah. Sadly, you can't keep them. You will have to send them back at some point, but...
we'll see.
Well, it's not my set, so I'm taking it with David and Yulia. I was going to have to send it back to them, but I argued that we should share it with you.
That's fair. All right, I'll be nice.
It's a prototype. It's literally the only physical set that exists, and it's just sat.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's fair that we do send that one back.
The fact that we have it is already surprising enough.
Yeah, right. Well, hey.
All right,
I do what I can for the show, bro.
Let's move on a little bit here. So, Mog Genius asking a multi-part question here. 1, are you getting samples of the C3 stabs? The answer to that is yes. One way or another, we're getting some stabs. And
we've got them coming in from 3 different variations at the minute. So yes, we will have some soon.
And 2, is there a difference between C3 Tangi's Rev 2 and a milky top / black bottom Gateron? I actually don't know. I haven't used the C3 Tangerines yet.
So I think the revision 2, so the revision 2 is still keeping the black base and the milky top. So it will be the same as the standard Gaterons, that black base and milky top, which are the nicest of the standard Gateron switches in my opinion. What you're paying for here is a different stem and a different spring. So the spring is more reminiscent of a heavier yellow spring, which is the nicest of the stock springs, and it's close to being acceptable in my view, and I'm a really, that bar's really high for me in terms of what an acceptable spring is, but also the stem color is what you're looking at here as well, because they're trying to emulate that whole Hirose switch kind of color as well. So that's what you're paying for there. But yes, they are the same technically in terms of the switch and in terms of sound and feel. What you're paying for is slightly different aesthetics and a slightly different spring.
There you go. Langlandia asking, have you ever thought about expanding this style of your show? I know you've got more content coming, but the guest host was a nice touch. Or maybe a recurring individual just spitballing. There are lots of things we certainly could do and lots of things that we've thought about. It's just a matter of doing what we think is right and what we, A, can accomplish, and B, have time for. Like Jay had teased at in our beginning of the episode here, we do have some interesting alternative content on the way. Trust me, it's interesting. And just on that as well, that new content might be something you might be interested in, so I might reach out to you. So we'll see. Yeah. It's a very it'll be a very fun thing. It'll be a good community interaction as well.
Yeah, I feel like you're giving away maybe just a little.
All right, I'll shut up.
It's coming soon. It's coming soon. Both Brian and I are really excited about it. Anyway, it's coming soon. Next question is back from Clavier's link. He's giving the link to Clack hoodies. We've talked about them. We've shown them on stream. We've done it. We've done the Clack hoodies. Jake Reps says, most anticipated proto or build coming your way. Anything you've got coming, Brian, that you're really excited about building?
I got a few things coming. My Zeno is still coming. My Southpaw full size, hopefully not too much longer. Clavier actually is sending me a really nice 60% acrylic kit, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. So I'm really looking forward to those 3 builds. It's just a matter of whatever is going to arrive.
Okay, cool. This week I'll be building a Matrix 1.2, which I'm quite excited to do. I've got a secret prototype coming up. I don't know when I can talk about it or when I can't talk about it. It's sat at the side of me at the minute. I'm not sure if I can talk about it yet or not. I don't think I can. But maybe on next week's show I'll be able to show it off as part of Mail Call, and then do the build stream the following weekend. Both of those builds are for other people as well, which is unusual for me. Most of my builds are my own. So that's that. The Matrix is for a friend called Pace. That'll be this Sunday's build stream. That should arrive with me tomorrow. And then this other prototype is for another viewer of Top Clack, actually. He's probably watching right now, and he's probably laughing at himself because he knows what it's coming. So that's going to be a couple of weekends away. There's 2 prototypes coming. In terms of personal boards that I've got coming that I'm excited to build, possibly the wing keyless version of the JO2, and also I've got my Jane CE coming as well. So I'm probably finally going to build my my Jane V2 and my Jane CE at the same time and do a comparison between the 2. That's probably how I'm going to do it when they arrive, when the CE arrives, because I've got the V2 just sat in a drawer doing nothing at the minute. So yeah.
Cool. All right, let's move on a little bit. Slippery PED is asking, Jay, a Ping Junior seems up your alley. Have you considered building one?
I'm trying to find this now. A Ping Junior.
Ping Junior.
Alley. I'm gonna have to Google this now. I don't know what that is. Ping Junior.
I don't know what that is either.
I'm just getting golf clubs when I search for that.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I play golf, but yeah, I don't know how I'd build a Ping Junior golf club, and I think the junior golf clubs might be a bit short for me. I'm not a very tall guy, but they're going to be really too short for me because maybe someone who's about 2 foot tall. So, Slippery Pete, I'm really interested to know what you're on about. So ping me and tell me about the ping.
There you go.
I want to know what it is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
One Lives Left is asking, does this exist? An ISO Bluetooth QMK 65%.
Pick 3 of those and you can probably have it. Pick all 4 and you're probably not going to find it.
Doesn't Caps Unlock have a 65% coming out soon?
Yeah, I don't think it's Bluetooth though, is it? Is it CU65 Bluetooth?
I know it's. I'm pretty sure it's 65% ISO QMK. I don't know if it was Bluetooth though. I don't know.
In fact, actually, yes, there is one. I tell a lie. The latest round of the canoe, the PC canoe, the polycarbonate canoe, because I bought one of these. That comes with Bluetooth PCB. It's QMK compatible. You can convert it to QMK. It's 65%, and it does support ISO, but only if you don't use the Bluetooth PCB. Only if you use the original.
Wow. PCB. All right. So Jay was right. Pick 3 at most.
Yeah, I don't think there's one that fits all 4 of those. I tend not to be a massive Bluetooth fan anyway, so I haven't looked for one, so I can't answer that there is one. I'm just looking at the CU65. I don't think that supports Bluetooth.
Yeah, it might not.
Yeah,
I think it supports the rest of it,
I don't think it would. Yeah, it does. It's 65%. It's ISO. You know, it's QMK. But there's also lots of others that do that. So the KBD67, for example, would support it. The Exent supports it. The Brutal 65, the Savage supports it. You know, there's so many other 65% boards out there that support ISO.
Bluetooth hasn't really taken off in our community.
The Bluetooth is the hard part.
Yeah. It's we have some boards and PCBs around, but they're very few and far between. Next question, it comes from Zillion, asking, should we be giving feedback to GMK and vendors/designers around the idea that diversity of people in the community is important? So being able to support members that use weird kits can potentially bring more people to the community, and the current model does not work as well for those members, and thus an MOQ model like CAT is much better for the community. Interesting.
Okay, so I mean, I've got a couple of thoughts firstly and foremost on this. So the cat model works fine for dice sub applications. It wouldn't work fine for double shotting. It'd be too much work. The challenge we've got is that the community is right on the cusp of being niche to, and I know this sounds weird, but it's going from a niche hobby to a minor hobby. It's not got the likes of millions upon millions of people doing it, like playing golf every weekend or playing basketball every weekend or whatever. But it's kind of getting to the point where it's not so niche, it's obscure anymore. It's starting to gain traction outside of the general area, and it's starting to build up towards that million member mark. The only kind of metric we've got for this is the RMK sub list, which isn't accurate. It's a terrible metric, and I hate using it. But it's the closest we've got in the community right now. So we reckon that there's probably about 500,000 people in the community. It's probably when we get to 1 million more or so when we can start to have more conversations like this. I think the challenges, and as a minority layout user myself, I do struggle with this, and I know I do rant about this on the show a fair bit, and I know people like Dixie and things have got other valid opinions as well, that it's like when we're talking about whether we put accent kits into the base kit but remove ISO, for example. People would do that because 80% of the population uses that kind of standardized kit. I think where we need to get to is we need more people in the community. So then it's not about percentages anymore. It's about a numbers game. If we get to a point where we were selling 250 just about base kits 2 years ago, and that was including, pretty much every layout in massive base kits. If we can get to the position where roughly 250 kits are selling is the 20% that's just the ISO users, that's the type of point where we're getting back to. It doesn't matter about the percentage split anymore between it being 80% of the users and 20% of the users. It becomes talking about, well, we've got 1,000 base kits that we've sold, but 250 of them are actually now ISO users. That means it's more valid to bring it back in. So we actually need the community to grow a little bit more so we can start to have those decisions. In the meantime, because I think that's probably a year to 2 years away, I reckon within 5 years, if the bubble doesn't burst, we'll be seeing 10,000 base kits sell of a kit within 3 to 5 years. Is probably where I see it going if it doesn't burst. But in the meantime, what I think we possibly have an opportunity to do is look at having different base kits for different locales, or different kits submissions depending on where they are, which kind of leads into doing the kits per MOQ, but it's almost like you would be bundling for example, you'd only get the ISO keys if you bought the base kit in the EU, unless you specifically asked for the ISO keys in another locale. Maybe that's a way of doing it. I know ideas like that been touted before, but I think that there's probably some clever stuff in there where you could do it. It might be that the vendor's proposition, GMK, say, make the ISO kits and do them at MOQ, and make whatever number of kits sell in the EU as the MOQ for it. So if 150 kits sell in the EU of 1,000 base kits, say Dracula, you put the ISO kits, and the ISO keys only get distributed in the key sets that go to the EU. Maybe that's an option. I don't know. A lot of that depends on how willing GMK is willing to work with that kind of stuff, and the vendors as well. It's extra work for them, so whether they'd want to push something like that or not would entirely depend on them. So I think there's options, there's opportunities. It all depends on how hard people want to work on it.
With that said, it's always worth providing feedback. GMK has been a lot more receptive to feedback more recently in the community, now that they've really kind of shown that we can establish ourselves as not a ridiculously high percentage of profit for them, but still much higher than we used to be comparatively. So I think that it's always worth trying, right? Like, just give feedback, give ideas. What's the worst that could happen? All right, moving on. Clavier has the next question. He says, also talking about holy pandas, people keep saying I was the first one to make them. Quakeums, set the record straight. People are confusing our cues.
I've never seen anyone say that Clavier did that.
I haven't either, but I mean, he's probably not lying to us. I wish it were you. I'd rather it be you. It's been like 2.5 years later, and I still get questions like fairly often about holy pandas, and I just don't really care anymore because the holy panda isn't as interesting as it used to be. Yes, I was the first one to discover holy pandas. I had the first Halo prototype stems way before they hit market, and I was in the middle of making the Zondas, which are a Zeal panda hybrid, and I decided to try the Halo stem in a panda instead. I liked it a lot more, and thus the holy panda was born, and my life was over. So, yeah. But, people can ask you. That's fine. I probably have no real information more than what you have anyways, so we're probably on a level playing field. I'd rather people just ask you, so sorry about that.
There you go. Yeah. Next question we weren't tagged in, but it came from Kajahata, and he said, any HB Heron Bob Phoenix stem news? So I actually have some. I got some at the Seattle meetup, and I tried them out on stream. I think he's ready to start shipping them before the end of this year, so that's the latest position I know of. I can reach out to Paul and ask him for an update if you'd like me to, but I'm pretty sure he's expecting to ship before the end of the year. Langelandia did tag us and said, follow up to my earlier question, why have I not been asked on the show, and when should I expect my invite? Maybe I'll have a chat with you in the next couple of weeks.
All right, there you go. Minterly raids with a party of 30. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah,
Very
appreciate
kind.
that.
Always love the raids. All right, so let's scroll down here. We have another question. Javon forgets to tag us, but he asks, why is this stream so boring? Because you're watching a stream about mechanical keyboards.
Yeah.
Sir Captain Salty also forgets to tag us, but he's asking, is it true that you guys invented mechanical keyboards? Is this a troll? I'm just going to skip this question. We did not invent mechanical keyboards. No.
Yeah, I'm happy for you to tell people we did, and then we'll put them straight. But it might get us more viewers.
It'll give us a lot more viewers. Maybe we did. Maybe we did invent mechanical keyboards. Fantastic.
I mean, clearly both Brian and I look old enough to have invented mechanical keyboards back in the 40s and 50s when they were first starting to be developed. So, I think that's a fair question. I think
I invented the typewriter, so...
Nice. I invented the printing press back in 1463. Yeah.
Yeah, we're both really good at life. Anyways, it looks like that actually concludes our Q&A. I don't see any more questions, and we're only just over the 3-hour mark, Jay. That wasn't actually as bad as I was expecting.
I think it was the whole key set hot takes and quick rounds and
that helps.
fast firing through them.
That helps a lot.
Yeah, I mean, how did you guys feel about that? That we didn't talk too much about the key sets and we just did a quick fire round.
Yeah.
Was that good? Was that bad? How did you feel about it? Because it was something we've not really done before, so it's good to get your guys' take on.
Yeah.
They liked it. They preferred it. Okay,
as the community grows, obviously the more things are going to be happening, and that's just the way it is. And the way that we kind of operate is we like to talk about those things, but we're just two guys, and this particular show is just a once a week show for this particular series at least, and there's not really a whole lot we can do other than just talk about the things that happen. And sometimes a lot of things happen, and sometimes a little bit of things happen, but lately it's been a lot of things, and it's sometimes hard to get to them all in a timely fashion, so we sometimes have to pick and choose things that may or may not make it on the show. So we've kind of been filtering out lower quality interest checks, lower effort interest checks, for example. But obviously, like you saw today, there were actually no GMK interest checks, but there was like 9 GMK group buys or something like that. And it's we pretty
there have been interest checks in the past week. We just didn't cover them.
Oh, for sure. But I mean today there's been a lot of GMK group buys that have been open for the last week or so. But we chose not to talk about any of the interest checks because there weren't really very many high potential ones in our eyes. But that's going to be a good question: is how do we filter out things, and how do we keep things a reasonable time? Like, what do we filter out? When do we filter out things? How long should we talk about specific topics? How should we talk about them? There's a lot of things to think about when we do this kind of thing, because obviously we don't always want to have 3+ hour shows. It's not everyone wants to watch that. It's not always a good time. But by the time we're done, a lot of people are sleeping anyways. We're gonna need to kind of rethink the way we do some things moving forward.
Yeah, and I think, and again, just thinking off the cuff here, I'm almost wondering if we don't cover interest checks until they garner a significant amount of attention, because we usually cover interest checks as if they go up a couple of days before, some have got 2 posts on them, which doesn't tell us whether it's going to be picked up by the community or anything else like that. So I think my view is on interest checks going forward, and we might try this out for a couple of weeks and see if Brian agrees. But we won't cover an interest check unless it gets significant attention, and we'll just tend to cover, but we will cover anything that's in group buy. I think that might be the way we have to do it.
We pretty much always cover group buy items that we see. Interest checks are always kind of up in the air.
Yeah. 159, thank you very much for the 1,000 bits. Really appreciate it, my dude. Thank you very much. Yeah, I do think that might be the way forward with the interest check. So if we just cover the ones that start to get traction within the community, and not ones that just seem to fall by the wayside, which is sad when it happens, but you know, it tends to suggest that perhaps the interest check needs rework before it's reintroduced to the community anyway. So
yeah, I mean, it seems like most people kind of seem to prefer it from this small sample size of just asking this question one time, so maybe we can start moving along at a bit of a quicker pace, because we do tend to ramble. We know that. It's kind of just, you know, sometimes it's hard. The show is obviously live. Not everything goes as planned. Not everything goes correctly or properly. We kind of just roll with the punches. Sometimes we think of things that we might not have thought otherwise. This isn't a scripted show, like, at all. This is all like off the cuff. Jay and I get together a couple hours before and we're like, we're doing this. And that's kind of just, and hopefully things work out for the best. But, you know, maybe in the future it needs to be a little bit more concise and maybe even a little scripted in some ways. So
I mean, I think the especially the quickfire round on the key sets worked well today, because we did stop and give insight where we felt it was necessary, and I think that's a better way to do it rather than giving insight on everything. That might be how we have to do. I think with keyboards, it's still easier for us to discuss at length, and by length I mean 5 to 10 minutes per board. But with the GMK sets and everything else, we can probably stick to 2 or 3 minutes, and unless there's something specific we want to say. Nathan Alphaman says, how will you define enough interest? I don't know. It was just an off-the-cuff comment that maybe we just feel if we feel that the community's got to take into it. If there's a page of comments in GeekHack, if we've seen it talked about in our Discord server, maybe that's when we'll cover it in interest check. Maybe if we're asked to cover it for X, Y, Z or reason, we think that's a good enough reason, then we will do. Or maybe if we just find it interesting ourselves. I think that's the other side of it. There might be something that I really like that the community doesn't, and just want to cover it from that perspective, or that Brian really likes. So
certainly. Yeah, maybe we can take some polls in the near future, and we can see what you guys like, and maybe we can go on with that. One thing I think people get kind of misconstrued is that it's not supposed to be a promotional thing as far as our news doc is concerned. It's like,
absolutely,
and I get PMs every week. I get at least 1 or 2 PMs from someone that's like, hey, are you going to cover my topic this week? And it's like, if the interest check is good enough, sure. Like, it's that kind of thing. Like, we're not trying to like sell the topics that we're talking about. This is strictly supposed to be like our news section. It's supposed to be an unbiased, neutral. Here's the specs of this. Here's what's happening. Here's our thoughts on it. Let's move on. That's what it's supposed to always be as far as the news topics that we talk about. It's not like it's this set, go buy this set. It's not a promotional thing. So if we don't talk about something, it's because it's probably because we thought the post was maybe too low effort, or maybe it was a meme or a joke or something like that. We try to only cover things that we think actually have some semblance of potential, or things that are relevant. Because we don't necessarily want 3 and 4 hour long shows. I don't think anyone really wants that. I mean, it's just a little too long to digest. So, 159 donates another 1,000 bits, by the way. So, shout out to him for that. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you, dude. We really appreciate it. Thank you, dude.
You are a scholar or a gentleman. Pick one.
Pick one, but not the other.
Pick one, but not the other.
He's a legend in his own lunchtime. Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, just like me. Anyways, we're going to wrap it up today, I think, guys. Any closing thoughts, Jay?
So build stream on Sunday will be a Matrix 1.2. Really excited to build it. I've never built one before, so really excited to do that for a friend of mine. And I might even just bust open DMG for the first time, because it's still sealed and still sat there. So I might even bust out that key set for it. And a prototype next week that I can't talk about yet, but I really wish I could. New content coming soon. I've got a new idea that I'm going to be putting into production in the next couple of weeks, so you'll hopefully see the first of this new type of content before Christmas, or maybe you'll hear it. But yeah, so look out for that. Of course, we'll announce that when it happens. We talked about it right at the top of the show, but if you want to join our Secret Santas, the links were there. Brian's going to post up an announcement in the Discord server straight after the show as well. Remember, you've got 2 weeks from today to enter. We'll remind you each week, and we'll remind you when it's closing as well. Presents have to be shipped by the 19th of December, and then we're going to do a mass Top Clack gift opening section on the 26th, the show between Christmas and New Year, which I'm really looking forward to and excited to. I think that's everything from me. Yeah, so build stream, new content, Secret Santa. Yeah.
Make sure you join the Secret Santa if you guys want to. If you're not planning on sending a gift or you can't afford it or anything, then don't join it. But otherwise, feel free to join it. Like Jay mentioned, I will be posting it in the Discord in the announcement section. It'll also be in the description of this VOD and AOD. So you'll have lots of places to grab it from, guys. Don't worry. So make sure you join that. Official link for the Discord is below the stream, as well as our YouTube channel and other various outlets if you want to hang out with us there. Lots of always cool things to do there as well. So until next time, guys, we hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.